There we are. We are live. Hello. Welcome to the
Hello.
JillStream. Yes. Well, welcome Jill to the JillStream. How are you, Jill?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. This is actually episode 8, although we did some side streams. Like the thing we did, the Wire Wednesday, which was actually not officially part of my numerical count. So,
Yeah.
but the Wire Wednesday was fun, and obviously, let me introduce myself. My name is Antonio Bryce. I'm a comic book creator. Check this one out. This is my book brand. It is on Indiegogo right now. You can check that out. Oh yeah, let me say hello to our good friends over at Planet EJOBN. They are hanging out with us as well. And if you are watching on one of the other platforms that we stream to, you can go to youtube.com/Kari Press. Obviously, we can see you in the chat on other platforms, but obviously, we'd like to have you on our YouTube channel as well. So please come hang out with us there. But Jill,
Yes.
You're on Cali time. It's early where you are. How are you?
I'm good. It's not early. Early birds would scoff at me saying it's early, but I'm a kind of a not an early bird. In the mornings when I spent the night at my grandparents they'd take us to school Friday mornings and I wouldn't get up. And they'd come and they'd sneak in with my sister. Well, they wouldn't sneak in because I wouldn't get up. And they'd like, Jill, wake up. And I'd be like, I'm not getting up. And they just pour water on my head to
That's
get
not
me up.
Good.
No, it got me up. I wouldn't get up otherwise.
The best part of waking up
is getting waterboarded.
My mom would take pee and rub it, but I mean that's like
Really?
when you're trying to get the red. You trying to get the red out of your eyes. Something. But there's something that pee is good.
Is that like a home remedy?
Yeah, it was like, oh God, no. And you definitely
now that's
had like a jar with pee, and it was like you don't want that because like if they're gonna do the pee thing, I'd rather it be my pee as opposed to because like a jar of pee when you open it. It is like the worst. I
can like imagine the smell right now. That's like 100 times worse than your mom coming up and just like rubbing a dirty spot off of your face. You're like, get away, mom. She's like, here, pee in your face.
Pee in your face. This is not good. Okay, so this is part 2 of worst ending ever. We did this. We did this last week?
Last week, Friday?
Or I guess, actually, I think we did it on a Saturday. So this is actually a new week.
Yeah,
we did the Wire Wednesday. So basically,
we did it before that. We may have done it on Monday. I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
But
we did it.
The basic point was the show was so big, it was so massive that we had to break it up because I had read an article and it was about the television shows that were popular, but they were the worst. They started off real strong and people loved those shows, but they had some of the worst finales where the people saw the finale and they were like, "Man, this kind of pissed me off." I was really hoping that the show would be a lot stronger and everything. So the 4 shows that kept coming up, they had a hashtag worst ending ever and all that kind of stuff. And the 4 shows that kept coming up, along with some other ones like My Name is Earl, which we had kind of touched on a little bit stuff, but it was Lost, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, and Dexter. Those 4 were coming up during it. And I was like, I watch all 4 of those shows. And I definitely agreed with all 4. I was like, God, yeah, especially Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So just talking about the finales of Lost and Game of Thrones was what 2 hours and
over 2 hours.
2 hours and like 38 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I.
It was a long.
We will go that long, but I also have I have a play date later to play video games with my nephews. That's why I scheduled an earlier. So I was like, I gotta get up.
You can be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. So,
right.
So, which one do you want to tackle first?
So I'm just gonna ask. Let's see.
I watched both. I made sure I watched both just so I could get re-angered.
Well, that's good because you can tell me because I didn't, even though I said I was going to. I didn't have time. But I have seen both of them in the past.
Well,
Start
a
with
lot of times,
Dexter.
okay, yeah. Let's start with Dexter because that was the first one I watched. It was Dexter.
Now you're
I knew it
obviously
was
you're a
bad.
Dexter fan
Oh
overall.
yeah, I'm a big Dexter fan. But Dexter, I forgot how bad the ending was. I mean, and we were talking about it the other episode, but I forgot how bad Dexter ended.
Yeah,
I
I said I was gonna watch it, and I was like, I'm not going to. I hate as the show. I told you before, I'm not a Dexter fan, so I was like, screw Dexter. I'm not watching you again.
okay, so
So how many
let's.
seasons was it?
There were
Complete
8 seasons of Dexter.
8 seasons?
8 seasons.
Too many. Too many seasons. Too many
Well,
seasons.
they actually, their ratings were good up until the end. They could have gone another night. You know what I'm saying? They could have kept going. It wasn't canceled. It was the producers were like, okay, how many times can we have him?
They were obviously running out of ideas.
Yeah, because they actually did. Here's the problem with Dexter. Dexter got very formulaic. It was you. I'd kind of like to maybe one day talk about like Smallville because I noticed like Smallville got very formulaic. It was the villain of the week. You know, it's like, oh, okay, so now he's encountered
like more of that was in the era of shows still being episodic, and I mentioned like the new Perry Mason briefly, which is not episodic. Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you just want a little hour tidbit and you don't want to yeah, Sam, whatever that guy.
But here's the thing: they would have Dexter fell into that same kind of thing that Smallville did, where it was like, oh, okay, well, he's gonna face Brainiac this week. He's gonna do this. You know, he kept doing. Dexter decided, okay, they would have. I mean, every episode when you look at it, even though I enjoyed Dexter, every episode kind of basically had the same formula. Or let's break it into the season. There would be several people that Dexter would kill. Like he'd kill at least one person during the, talk about his dark passage or all that kind of stuff. But there would be the serial killer, the alpha serial killer that Dexter would take out at the end of the season. So he would, some guy beating his wife up and had accident, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, make them horrible so that we still like Dexter, which I never did. Never liked Dexter.
You never liked Michael C. Hall as Dexter.
I don't like the character of Dexter. I think he's a hypocrite. I think he's fucked up. I think he needs major therapy, and that he's a goddamn murderer.
Well, this is the premise of the show. So we got Michael C. Hall. First time I saw Michael C. Hall was on 6 Feet Under, which is Alan Ball. Alan Ball, who did American Beauty. He won an Oscar for that, and
I've never seen 6 Feet Under all the way through. I think I've only
6 Feet Under is great. I felt a little.
I've only heard good things.
Yo, it was fantastic. It was a fantastic show. And I really enjoyed it. He was, he was a mortician, undertaker, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Guess,
was that the one that's like a family business?
Yeah. The family, although Peter Krause wasn't really into the family business the same way. He just had to come home because his dad died, and then he wasn't really wanting to do that. But Michael C. Hall was the younger brother, and he actually had a gift, and he seemed like he was more into the the funeral business than his older brother was. And then they had the Spanish dude, I can't remember, and he apparently had a gift for like taking these bodies that had gotten really messed up, and he could take them and do. They use like the
make
little
beautiful.
He was. And the father had apparently worked with him and sent him it paid for him to go to the mortician school or whatever, and blah, blah, and he would do that, blah, blah, the whole thing. And then he was wanting them to make him a partner, and they were like, hey, this is a family business. And they, and he was like, so why am I doing this if y'all not going to break me off? And I'm like, your Ferrari, your Porsche. I'm the best
Right.
thing you got, you know. So that they did the whole thing, but yeah, his character was gay on this. So a lot of people thought Michael C. Hall was gay, because you know the actor plays a gay character. It was kind of funny because when Isaiah Washington was here the other week, you know, that was one of the things we talked about. His character on Get on the Bus. And he said that a lot of people assumed he was gay because he played a gay character and Get on the Bus. Newsflash, Michael C. Hall is quite straight and been married 3 times. And in fact, he was married to the young lady that played Deborah Morgan. Although they got divorced in 2011. They had to shoot the last 2 seasons of Dexter. They had got divorced at that point.
Is that the woman who plays his sister?
Yeah, so they got.
See, that was married. The other thing while watching that show, and I think I talked to you about this off the air. How I'm like incest things are like ugh to me, and
it was strange because
thought that like they were brother and sister like on the show.
He's adopted. Remember, he's not her blood brother.
I know, but it was just all.
It was still creepy. Yes, it was still very creepy.
They were like fucking in real life was like. This is weird to me. I don't know why.
They were together from 2007 to 2011. Like I said, the show went off the air in September of 2013.
What else was she in?
She's been in matter of fact,
they did a lot of stuff.
She even was on that CBS show that was you remember the oh god, the guy took the pill. Robert De Niro was in it, and he took the pill, and all of a sudden he became real smart and they did a spinoff. It was, it was like a
TV show.
It was a movie with the guy. He was in he played that sniper, that army sniper, and he just, he was just in the movie with Lady Gaga too, and they had the.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper. Yeah, so I should have said The Hangover. So yeah, Bradley Cooper. He was in there with that. So I was like, but it was Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro, and he had stumbled on these pills, and they made him like stupid extra smart, and then, but they did a spinoff of the TV series on CBS, and she was the detective liaison that, so obviously Dexter was off the air at that point, but I think it only lasted like 2 seasons and they canceled it. So, but yeah, they were together from 2007 and they got split. They split up in 2011. Apparently, they were still cool or whatever, and because she didn't have to, a lot of times when actors break up, somebody has to go or whatever.
Right.
So they managed to keep working together for 2 more years. Even though I don't know what happened when they actually got married that was different from when they were just dating each other or whatever, but.
Shit changes, man.
Yeah, maybe I can see why you and Yule are just living in sin.
Well, I just finished the most recent season of Grace and Frankie, and on the show, one of the daughters is played by June Diane Raphael, and her character is very much like she's a career oriented. She's very much into herself, very narcissistic, and her boyfriend decided because he was going to dump her ass. To just decide to get engaged and just remain engaged forever. Like that was the step they decided to take. Not get married or anything, just get engaged. Well, it was an interesting idea.
But yeah,
so back to Dexter.
Well, that's we're still talking about Dexter. Here's like I said, it became very formulaic. Michael C. Hall, his character of Dexter Morgan. He had the dark passenger. They kept saying dark passenger. Dexter's based on the novel series. I can't remember the author, but Dexter Dreaming Darkly. I think the guy read it.
Oh, I didn't know it was a book series.
Yeah. He wrote there's at least 3 or 4 Dexter books. I thought, but the original is Dexter Dreaming Darkly, and a lot of what happens in series 1 of the television show, the first season, is kind of the plot of Dexter Dreaming Darkly. It's set in Miami. He's forensic, blah blah blah, that whole deal. But the basic is like I just said, it's okay. That episode will have someone for Dexter to kill, but the plot is leading for the season finale for him to finally catch up with the the main mega bad, the alpha serial killer. The first season, I know the first season turned out to be his brother, his older brother, who he did not even know he had a brother. And so apparently, they both had witnessed their mother get murdered in front of them, and I guess her mother had been a hooker or something, and she got
I can't
killed.
remember all the details.
And Harry Morgan, Dexter's father, obviously was a police officer, and they were friendly or something, and they were like, did he sleep with Dexter's mom? Did he not? Whatever. They had some kind of friendly relationship. And she got killed, and then he's trying to figure out who killed his mom and all this. But they kept showing Dexter as a kid. He was like maybe 2.5 or whatever. He's in blood.
He's crying. Was he? I thought he wasn't screaming. I thought he was just like
he was kind of calm, but he was
sitting there super calmly, just
in a pool of his mother's blood. He's just sitting there like. And from then, the dark passenger entered into him, I guess, or whatever. So it was kind of strange. Obviously, Harry adopted him. They felt like his brother was too old. He started noticing that, Dexter's still young enough that, like say he's at this point.
It's kind of fucked. See, that's the other thing about this show. It's like, oh, Dexter, his older brother. Oh, I can only train one of these boys to be a good killer. Oh, let this other one go. He's fucked up. I can't handle it.
So you got two brothers, and Harry is going to give the younger one a home. And he's going to take this other brother and put him, I guess, with relatives, foster care, whatever they did, however, and plus not tell the younger brother that his older brother exists.
Mm-hmm. I lost my question. Keep going.
But I thought that was a strange choice. That seemed weird. So you got two children, you split them up, you don't tell the other brother that he has a brother at all.
Yeah, it's just created. That's kind of the one. It's just created drama, just to keep everything ramped up drama-wise, honestly, and I guess to put forth some sort of moral debate between the good killer and the bad killer, the yin and the yang, I don't know. I just don't like Dexter.
Well, then we start having flashbacks of the lessons that Harry taught Dexter throughout.
Who plays the dad?
He was in 48 Hours. He was one of the bad guys in 48 Hours.
James Remar.
Yeah, he's been in so much stuff. James Remar. Matter of fact, he was in Django. Matter of fact, a lot of people don't know this. He played 2 parts in Django. Huh. He was in the opening sequence in Django. He was one of the brothers. He was the brother that Christoph Waltz shoots. And the horse, and then the other brother, he shot the horse and the horse fell on him or whatever. And, you killed him. But he was in that first. James Remar was the brother when Dr. King Schultz went to free Django. And then he was trying to buy, and he was like, "Hey man, why you keep putting your hand on your weapon? I'm gonna think you threat." Bam! And then he obviously was a great crack shot. And have you seen Django or no?
I've only seen scenes. I've never seen it from beginning to end.
I love Tarantino movies.
I get very behind in
But yeah, James Remar was actually he only was in that first scene. But then when Leonardo DiCaprio was not actually hired to play Monsieur Candy. He was not hired to play Mr. Candy until the movie was halfway done.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was kind of crazy because I've heard so much. I've read so much about Django where they had originally was going to bring Chappelle in. Dave Chappelle was going to be in the movie, all this kind of stuff. But Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz shot a lot of the stuff you see at the beginning, like when he's training Django. They're on horseback. He's showing him how to bounty hunt and all this kind of stuff. And then they had to take a couple-week break. They had shot about half the movie. And they needed the weather to change and all this, and they were going to change locations and stuff. They shot some down in Texas and Tennessee and stuff like. And when Jamie Foxx said when we came, we went away for 2 months, and then when we came back, Leonardo DiCaprio was part of the cast. So they had shot like half the movie, and then they brought and Samuel L. Jackson. They brought both of them. They weren't originally in they hired them later. But James Remar was one of the Candy's bodyguards there so it was weird since he was one of the guys that got shot at the beginning of the movie, and then he played a completely different character later. They put a mustache on. And what was so funny, I had no idea it was him until I was watching one of those things you never noticed when you watch this. Man, I'd watched Django at that time like 5 or 6 times. I never noticed that it was James Remar at the beginning. And so then I went back. I said, that is James Remar. Boom. And then you go to Candyland and he's there, but he's got the mustache. And they just changed his look a little bit. It's the same guy. But James Remar is Harry Morgan on Dexter. So, and not to mention, first time I saw James Remar, I was like 7 years old, and I watched Eddie Murphy in 48 Hours. He was one of the guys, him and what the Indian was named Billy Bear, and he was the other guy. And then those were the two guys that Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy were trying to chase down in 48 Hours. That was the first time I ever saw James Remar, and I've seen him in 50 things since then, obviously. He's been working for 40 years in the business, but this is actually, and this is a strange thing about Dexter. Dexter followed something that they did in 6 Feet Under, again, that Michael C. Hall had been in, where you have the father character is dead, but he's still an actor on the show, and he's coming back like as a ghost. You know what I'm saying? Because the character in 6 Feet Under, obviously the dad died in the first episode, and he was on the show kept just coming back as a ghost or whatever.
Still a character, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously if you watch Dexter, James Remar's character is in pretty much, he's in almost every episode because he's talking to Dexter. He lives through Dexter.
He's in every episode because Michael C. Hall's in 96 episodes. He's in 96 episodes.
Yeah, he talks to Dexter. That's the whole point. So they actually stole that from 6 Feet Under because as I was looking at the finale, I said, this show is actually, and like I said, Michael C. Hall was on 6 Feet Under. Michael C. Hall's on the star of Dexter, obviously. So I thought that was interesting because I was like, the dad on 6 Feet Under died, and he would come back and talk to his kids. And that's the way it was. And then obviously Dexter Morgan, his dad, Harry, has died, and he comes back and talks to his kid. Well, he comes back and talks to Dexter.
He's remembering his talks, right?
But Dexter, well, it's the same thing. Dexter has full-on conversations with Harry. Because
I'm trying to remember. So Dexter's nuts. Dexter's crazy. Like,
he's
that's
a serial
kind of
killer.
like,
I'd say so.
Well, right. Like, to me, like, that's one of the signs that he really, isn't well and shouldn't be living in society. He talks to his dad, and he does it like in a more realistic fashion.
Because at first they were doing the flashbacks, but he was like, Dexter, young Harry could end up being like you. You can't show, he's telling, now he's dead, and he's telling his son that you can't show.
Right. Like stuff in the present that dead guy wouldn't even know about. Yeah. Yeah,
you can't.
That to me is some of the failings of the writing of Dexter. I can't speak too much on it because I haven't rewatched it, but just in general, I think that that's one of the reasons why I don't like it as a show. It's kind of, it uses a lot of tricks to try to, I don't know, make their premise work.
And TJ Swan is correct. The character that played Tommen Baratheon did play 2 roles. He played the Lannister cousin that the Karstark father killed.
Oh,
he was only in like 1 episode, and then they brought him back because they needed to grow the young actor. That they had another actor in the pilot episode and stuff when the Baratheon showed up in Winterfell. They needed to make it. Yeah, they needed him to be older because he was going to start doing like love scenes and stuff like that. So they needed him to be a little older. So they said, hey, the guy that played the Lannister cousin, we can bring him back. He was getting married to Natalie Dorn's character. And so, they were going to be, remember they got married.
I was like trying to think, wait, Tommen, Joffrey's brother, the younger.
Yeah, Joffrey's brother. But he was much younger. They just fired that actor and brought him back. They did a Party of 5.
Of the youngest Stark, Bran's brother, who disappears.
Yeah, anyway. But he comes back. Remember, he comes back when they kill him. they had got him with one of the houses that they had trusted, a house that had been Stark Bannerman, and then they betrayed him and turned him over. He was in like 2 more episodes. They took the bag off his head, and he's like, oh, and all this kind of stuff. But like I said, Dexter and 6 Feet Under have a lot of similarities because, like I said, both of them got the dead fathers, and they're having like, do you see the dad smoking? He's dead, and he's smoking weed on 6 Feet Under. That all kind of things were going on, and so
talk to me. So each season of Dexter, there's like a main serial killer.
There's an alpha serial killer, yes.
Following, or I still say he just does it so that he can kill, and the excuse, like, he doesn't really think he's doing good to me. Like, in his head, he's not a good person.
But he said that
serial killer. It's just these are the rules that were put forth to him as a child by this fucked up cop who has groomed and trained this little serial killer boy to follow these rules.
That's what I'm saying.
We're supposed to care about Dexter and want this other person to get caught. That's every season, right?
Harry recognized, because remember, the 2 brothers, he sees that the older brother is too old, and he's like, okay, I think this boy is so old that there's nothing I can do to help him.
Oh, sure, yeah. Just put him back in the system and let the system take care of him. But what a fucking asshole. Dexter's
so young that he probably won't remember that his mother got murdered in front of him. So
even though he does.
Well, he doesn't know. He doesn't remember, but he has little
like
dreams,
visuals, right?
And it's like he starts having his. He doesn't understand what's going on, and he has all this suppressed rage, especially when Dexter is like 14, 15 years old and he's in school, and the kids are picking on him because he doesn't have the same emotions. He's shut off.
He's a weirdo serial killer.
Yeah, which is, you hear that about, like, I remember seeing stuff like with Jeffrey Dahmer.
Stay away from him.
Yeah, they were like, Dahmer, he's so quiet, he's a strange, this kind of thing, different
Dahmer
people.
Dahmer was also like a drunk from a pretty young age as well.
Yeah, so
anyway.
So Dexter, they did a lot of those flashbacks with Dexter where, kids are picking on him, and this, and Harry finally realized, he said, he said, let me try to curb his compulsion. So they actually did an episode where Harry took him out to hunt deer, and he was like, oh, maybe if I let him kill like animals.
Yeah,
it was weird. To think that he's a cop and a parent, and he's like, okay, let me help him. Obviously, I can't get him humans to kill, so let me see if I can take him out to kill like a deer. And he noticed that killing the animal, it was temporary and it didn't satisfy him, because Dexter had a cycle. Once he killed, the passenger was sated, and then he's like, okay, I've killed now. The compulsion is gone for a little while. And that's another reason why I have a problem with the final episode.
So talk to me, because I don't remember it 100%. Like, give me a brief explanation of the last season, like leading up to that last episode. Like,
well, I want to get there, but I want to talk about
for you. Like, to me, it was kind of laughable. It's like, then also, God damn it, the fucker got away. I wanted him to rot in a jail cell.
So you wanted Dexter to get caught?
Oh yeah, I hate Dexter.
A lot of people thought Dexter was going to get caught, but here's the thing. But they did this oh my God, someone figured out Dexter's and then that person would mysteriously end up dying or someone, or even Lauren Velez's character, she was the lieutenant or whatever, and she wanted to date Dexter in the first couple seasons or whatever, and then Dexter, she ended up with Batiste, and she figured out that Dexter was a killer, and then Deborah came in. She was about to arrest Dexter, and she killed her, which that was weird. There were a couple of people like that Detective Stokes guy that was on the first like 3 seasons.
Remember, I have the IMDb up just so I can remember. He's
the black detective. They end up getting another black detective. They needed another black guy. They was like, oh, we just killed the black guy because he figured out Dexter. But Dexter couldn't kill him because Dexter doesn't kill bad guys. So he had, let me see, the first
Oh,
season.
he doesn't kill bad guys?
I mean, he killed good guys. My bad.
Bad guys.
He only killed. That was what Harry figured out. Harry taught him, okay, if he's going to be a serial killer, I'm going to teach him to hunt other predators.
But what besides just the black and white of like what makes someone good or bad? I mean, because like in my mind, Dexter's bad. He's a goddamn murderer. Serial killer.
But everybody he killed,
I don't think he's any better than anybody else.
Everybody he killed, although they did, I remember they did like one where they
self-righteous bullshit, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, I get it, but they actually they had played around with the idea that Dexter had made a mistake and killed an innocent person, and then he was gonna I remember they had done that, and then obviously found out, oh yeah, I was right or whatever.
Right. Like, we can't. Yeah,
he's got the
really delve too deep into that.
Yeah, because
then we have to really explain his character.
They had to keep explaining, because the first couple seasons or whatever he had the glass.
His evidence file.
Yeah, he had to keep.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he would cut like a little cut on their face and put the little.
He collected their blood.
Yeah, he had the little samples. Right. Yeah, and
because he's a blood splatter expert.
And his brother found his stash. And then it was able to take TJ Squad. It's a show, lady. Go on.
I can't. Well, that's why I didn't like it. That's why I didn't like the show.
Well, once I agree. Overall, there's been a couple of shows where when they start insulting my intelligence, then I go, damn, why did you do that? You're insulting my intelligence at that point. But
well, there's just only so much time in the day and in the week and in the year. And sometimes you got to make those choices for yourself, But
how many times is Dexter almost going to get killed or almost going to, oh my God, this guy, he almost gets caught a few times. He almost, like season 1, they spin everything because, he would always chop the bodies up and put them in these, he would wrap them up like meat and he would go out. Yeah, and he would go out on the slice of life. He would go out on the slice of life, and then, matter of fact, he dropped a bunch of bodies in the same place, and for whatever reason, it was bodies that I think they said they found like 12 bodies because once they went diving in that one area, they pulled up all these different pieces that he had killed over a couple of years, and they go, wow, this dude. They just and then obviously someone was too smart and they figured out, I think this person is a cop. This person is using he's clearly using knowledge of forensics and stuff they started figuring. And there was a couple times during the course of the show, they're like, what? Remember they brought Keith Carradine in. He was the FBI profiler, and they brought him in, I think season 4, because he ended up getting killed by Trinity. Actually got killed by Trinity's daughter. Trinity is my favorite serial killer on Dexter. That was John Lithgow. John Lithgow's character. I think he was the best of the serial killers in my personal opinion. My second favorite is probably the British lady. Although I love Hannah because I stopped seeing Hannah as a serial killer because Dexter started banging her. And it was but he was banging the British lady too. Not to mention, I love that Dexter flew. She left the country and Dexter hopped on the plane and found her and killed her. And he just came back home because she's like, oh, I got away. She killed Dokes. So they had to have someone, because like I said, Dexter can't kill innocent people. So they had to have the British chick. They had to have her. She was sympathetic. She found out Dexter. I think she walked in when Dexter was doing it. He always sets up these kill houses. This was I don't know how Dexter finds all these locations. So he has to, okay, this is gonna be
another thing that takes me out of the show.
Yeah. So they were okay. He goes is he going around in the real estate catalogs or something?
Yeah.
Well, actually, Rita, that was how they did it. Rita was a real estate person for a while, and that was one thing they used. That was oh no, am I Mark Henry? I'm not. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, hey. I was but he would find these places and he would convert them into a kill house. he would
his plastic covered walls,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
And I'm like, how's he getting all this damn plastic and everything? Because I'm sitting there, that's a lot of work.
Shit ton of work. Yeah.
Just to set up the kill house.
Yeah,
set up the kill house. Because he did the same thing. So he'd set the table up. He's got plastic, because he's a forensic expert. So he's got all and then he's got to have all the pictures of the person he'd be killing. He's got to show them their victims. So he's got pictures from that's
so that he can pretend he's all fucking self-righteous. Give me a break.
So he's got so I've got to find. So he would find these places. Okay, this place is empty. Okay, I can set it up as my kill house. Boom, 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 boom. Put the plastic all around. Boom. And he was using. Matter of fact, I remember the FBI profiler guy. He had injected someone, and they realized that this stuff he was using. You have to be able. They don't sell this stuff over the counter. He was using the stuff that he was using to inject the people in because he injected them in the neck and then they passed.
That just sounds like stupid plot shit, though. It's like
I'm saying the FBI would have called Dexter a long time ago.
But wouldn't Dexter have not been as dumb to use something like that? Like, he doesn't seem that dumb the way they write him, but that just seems like a way to make some story happen so that he maybe gets caught. There were shitty writing.
There were a bunch of weird coincidences on Dexter. Like I said, when they did the thing, they was like, "Wait a minute, this drug that he used, we should be able to cross check our records and see who's been buying this in certain quantities or whatever, and then we can narrow the list down or whatever." Dexter. That sounds like, okay, because like I said, it's not like, I don't know what he's using, but you see him, he's injecting these people all the time. He's like, he creeps up on them, and he injects them in the neck, and then he drags them off somewhere, and then I've got my kill room set up, and then he sets them up, and then he's got multiple, because he always gets rid of the knife set too. So he has to keep buying these expensive knife sets that he uses to hack everybody up.
Everything you say is just reminding me why I hate Dexter. What was the ramp up to the last season, though? Like, what was... Well, I guess you'll get there. But, what made you hate that last episode?
Okay, I think, what was it? Season 5, Trinity, because Rita got pregnant. And then, she had hair, they named him after Dexter's dad. He started, this is when, like I said, John Lithgow coming in, I was really excited because I love John Lithgow. Actor. Yeah, he's a brilliant actor and, World According to Garp. But I remember him.
Been in everything, practically.
But obviously Third Rock from the Sun, which some of it was great, some of it wasn't. But
it had some moments.
Yeah, but I loved him in Raising Cain. That, he's playing the killer with multiple personalities.
He's really good at playing good or bad.
And so, that's why I love anybody who hadn't seen Raising Cain. That's definitely a John Lithgow movie that I thought that movie
was Footloose, of course. Let's not forget Footloose.
Oh, Footloose. Yeah, he was definitely 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. But
we used to play that when I worked at Tower Records a lot.
But John Lithgow was definitely the strongest of the alpha serial killers to me. Let me see. His brother, British lady. You had Julia Stiles come in as Lumen, and she had gotten raped, and they were going to kill her. There was the guy that was the.
I forgot she was in that.
They wanted the character that Hannah ended up playing. That would have probably been Julia Stiles. That probably would have been Julia Stiles' character because they wanted her to come back for another season. The fans liked her, and she was like, "Nah, I don't want to come back." And so next thing you know, they introduced because they wanted Dexter to have someone that was a killer, a female killer like him, someone that because he's not gonna unlike he had to hide that part of himself from Rita. Rita could not know that he was a serial killer, and the British lady, she was like, "Oh, you poor dear," and she sympathized with him and everything, and obviously Hannah killed a bunch of people. She was using poisons though. I remember they said that in Game of Thrones, like poison's a woman's weapon or whatever. That's what she did. She figured she knew how to make poisons from different plants and stuff like that. And so she was very smart. I mean, you'd have to have like chemist level knowledge to mix some of the shit she was able to mix and then drop it in your water and kill you and stuff like that. So Hannah, but Julia Stiles' character of Lumen, she had the compulsion to kill. And then once she killed the person that had raped her and was going to murder her dark passenger left her. And then she was like, oh, I don't want to kill anymore. But she didn't want to snitch on Dexter. Mm-hmm. But the fans wanted Julia Stiles back. And she was like, no, I don't want to come back. So then they introduced Hannah McKay. And then so she, Dexter had her on the table. If you remember, Dexter had her on the table. He injected her. She's tied down. Dexter has the wall. And he's like, the people she killed actually were bad people. It was like somebody had been abusing her or something. And so he started looking at her victims and he's like, she's not hurting innocent people. Although she tried to kill Deborah. She tried to kill Deborah. Do his
research before killing these people? I don't understand.
He has to do because that's the code.
So then he had to change a heart? God, Dexter sucks.
No, remember, he has the code. That's part of the code. He has to make sure that whoever is on that table, that he did his research.
Right, but he obviously got the right person. That moment.
So
How had he not done his research then?
No, he was right about Hannah. She had killed those people, but he researched her. He didn't research the victims. He was like, oh, these are her victims. He didn't look into their past and realize that the people she had killed were bad.
Then how did he know anybody else he killed wasn't also revenge killing for bad things they did to them?
Well,
I'm sorry, but
remember, he was at the police department, and a lot of these guys that he killed is like, oh, this guy, first of all, his wife came in a few months before she mysteriously had her accident. She had a broke arm, broke ribs, broke eyesight, and all. Yeah. He was looking, he's like, okay, so this guy had been constantly abusing this person, and then she mysteriously died, and he got away with it. So now I'm going to right that wrong. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, Dexter must have had so much, it's like I look at Dexter like the way they say Friends was, where you're not going to be able to have an apartment in New York that size for less than $100,000 a month or something. It's like that big loft. It's going to cost you like a couple $100,000 a year to be able to get it.
But within the show Dexter, they've set up their own rules though. Like they have their own rules, or he has his own rules. So there are certain things that, like, they don't have to. It doesn't have to be like realistic, I guess, but there does have to be a certain like in-universe.
I think it does need to be credible, though. I do think it needs to. Okay, so that's what, like I said, as the show went on, it just started. I said, "Oh God, somebody else figured out that he's the killer." Yeah, how many people are going to find out that he's a serial killer? Oh my God, how many people? Right. And then finally, and he kept lying to Deborah, and she finally figures out that her brother is a serial killer.
Does she survive the show? I can't remember.
No, that's what we're getting to that. Okay. So at that point, that's why, like I said, Dexter must have had out, because like he would open those his kill set. Mm-hmm. Those were specific. That knife set that he had, it would cost you several $100s to get that. That wasn't
through human skin. You got to have good shit.
No, if you notice when he opened that little zip, he had the same cat. Even though they would show him throwing it overboard, he would get. So what was he buying, like 50 of these things? Because he killed a bunch of people. So
I guess that's crazy though.
He's not
stupid.
Well, I'm saying he doesn't want to, because if someone gets the knife set, I don't know why he throws the knife set out, because I figured like he's a forensic guy. Shouldn't he be able to soak him in bleach? Every time. Oh, that's his ritual was he would, kill room, you wrap the body up, and then you take him out on the boat, you throw because he had them in different pieces. He had, chop them up into like 8 or 9 pieces or whatever. Throws all the little bags all overboard. He changed with his drop-off spot because there was like a swirling current there. They explained that because all of a sudden he had a place he liked to drop them off, and then when they went they found like 12, 13 bodies down there. They were like, oh my God.
No, that didn't work out too well.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, so I got to go out a little farther and find a new place, but he was still dropping the bodies off. But then he would drop the little pieces of the body, and then he would take his set and throw it in the water. So I was like, that wasn't just some regular hardware. Wouldn't someone know, hey man, you seem like you come here every couple of weeks and you buy one of these expensive ass sets or something? I mean,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, because I mean, he had a nice set. I'm talking about. I was interested in like going to culinary school, and I saw what one of those knife sets cost.
They're expensive.
Yeah, and I mean, he had the good shit. I'm like,
right. He's got like Ginsu or whatever, the top of the line bullshit.
Top of the line knives. He's not getting no cheap shit. And I'm seeing this dude throw this shit over the boat all the time. And I'm sitting there going, can't he just clean those so that I understand Harry taught him, you get rid of the evidence.
But how can he afford all those knife sets? That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. And
that's
I'm like,
crazy.
Yeah, stuff like that was, some people are like, well, it's just a show, you're overthinking it. But stuff like that, I was like, man, that's,
the whole premise of the show is his code and the rules that he follows. So I'm not just going to go along with something like that. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, he threw, like I said, he would throw the knife sets. Once he killed them, he would throw everything. He'd get, that's what the kill room. He'd wrap all the plastic up, get all the pieces together. Boom.
What about the clothes he was wearing when he dumped the bodies?
Like, everything's got to go.
Like he should be coming back to shore completely naked.
No, I think
I'm just saying.
Because I saw he throw over like garbage bags and stuff. So when he would go out on the boat, he would already have he would switch out of everything that he had, and put it, everything is going.
Yes, but those clothes could touch something on the outside of the bag and get contaminated.
Yes, I don't know.
I'm just being pedantic.
But I'm just saying he would get rid of everything.
Yeah.
That's what they would show that. Like he would, okay, let me chop the body up, wrap them up in the little, you'd actually see him like taping the pieces, it's like to make sure, okay, boom. So, it looked like little meat steaks or something. He would throw on, and then he would be like, okay. And then he would take the knife set, dump it. Boom. So I'm like, how many knife sets do you have? I had to go back and watch the show again because I was like, man, that dude threw a lot of those expensive ass knife sets over. He didn't just, like I said, it wasn't no cheap shit.
There's probably some like Google, like thing on the internet.
What's that? Wish.com. Maybe he was ordering like 50 of those knife sets on Wish or something. It was like, so he's getting, they're really like $25. They just look expensive. So at that point, Harry taught him, because he was like, killing the animals isn't working. He's going to want to kill a person. And so I need to teach him how to kill a person, but make sure it's a bad person. And that way he can kill, he's taking this evil that's inside of him and turning it into good for the benefit of mankind. So at that point,
in Harry's mind, in his mind, sure. Dexter, whatever.
Well, everybody Dexter killed, the first person he actually killed was that woman, that caretaker that was actually abusing Harry. He was dying of cancer, and Harry really couldn't talk. I think she was giving him something. She was like poisoning him or something, giving him weird medication, and he was getting his condition was getting worse. And then he was trying to let them know, it's like, hey, this woman's abusing me. Hey, she's like, he was getting to the point where he couldn't talk and stuff. And Dexter and Deborah, they rolled up and they was like, he figured it out. He was like, hey, this woman. And then so he was sloppy because they went back in his past and they showed that was his first kill. And he was like, yeah, now, obviously by the time the show starts, he's good at killing now. So he's like, okay, I'm good at it now. So once but this was his first kill. And matter of fact, the actress that played that caretaker, she had been on Star Trek The Next Generation, is Tasha Yar. And she was abusing Harry. And then, like I said, he gave Dexter the stink face. He was like, ah! And he was like, oh, she's abusing him. And then so he was like, I'm going to take her out. And then so that was his very first official kill as Dexter. And then after that, he had to, every couple weeks, it seems like he had to kill people. The compulsion would about every couple months he had to at least.
Pretty frequently.
Well, every episode he kills somebody.
Also, how much research is he doing to like actually? Anyway, whatever. But I'll stop complaining about this stupid show. What is the last? Get to the last episode. The show sucks.
Oh no! Well, damn. So I wanted to get to talk about Dexter's sex life and all this, because like
I said, yes, because that's so interesting.
Hannah and all this stuff. So, like I said, Julia Stiles decided she did not want to come back after the first season she was on, because they had the Trinity Killer had taken out, which that was shocking when they took out Rita, because a lot of people were shocked by that. And then John Lithgow, obviously Dexter, he cut his face, took a little blood sample, whoa, and you're like, yes, he won. And then he goes home, and he
didn't, and that made me happy.
And Harry sees his mother in, it's very similar to what happened to Dexter. Harry,
right. A new serial killer is born, basically.
Yeah. So that kind of thing. And then he, he meets Lumen, and he meets Hannah the next season. And, Hannah is, he gets her on the table, but he's attracted to her. And so he releases her and they have sex on the table. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was hot. I got to be honest. I loved that when he had sex with Hannah on the table. I was digging that. And then I liked it. But then Hannah, for whatever reason, started feeling like she needed to get rid of Deborah. And this is his sister. Mm-hmm. So she's like, I love Dexter, but he's too torn between his sister and his sister's a bitch, and I kind of want to get rid of her, because Deborah didn't like Hannah. So she was like, I need to get rid of her. So she decides that she's going to kill Dexter's sister and make it look like an accident. And then he's like, damn, I let you live. I probably should have. I'm not going to let you kill my sister. But he spared her, and then she just left. She fled the country, and then she came back.
Dexter seems to break a lot of his own stupid rules.
Yeah. So, and it was at that time we get to, I think the next season was the Colin Hanks and what's the dude from Battlestar Galactica, whatever, the Edward James Olmos. James Olmos. So this is when Colin Hanks, and that was an interesting dynamic, because it was two serial killers, but then you find out that Colin Hanks is just crazy as cat shit, and that he had the character that Edward James almost killed was already dead. And much like Dexter, he's talking to a dead person too. And
I barely remember that.
Yeah, they're both talking, they're pretending like this old man is the one, Colin Hanks' character is a good person,
right? And
this old man is his mentor serial killer and goading him. It's the mother relationship from Psycho. I don't want to kill you, but mother wants you dead. So Edward James, so he was having these personality shifts, and then Dexter, he actually fooled Dexter, and then Dexter was like, oh shit, he's the killer. And obviously can't let Dexter just find out right off the rip.
But, yeah, of course, there'd be no show.
Yeah, so Dexter figures out, oh my God, and they were doing that weird Santeria stuff. He was doing all these weird, Colin Hanks's character had researched into like voodoo and Santeria. He was doing all these weird with the snakes and all this, and there was all these symbols, and there was a demon, and this. They were doing that. That season got real weird. Obviously, he took him out, and Chief Velez or whatever her name, the Spanish chick, she comes in, finds out that Dexter is actually the serial killer, right? And that he killed Dokes, because she was tight with Dokes, and Dokes never trusted Dexter.
Right.
Dokes was one of her best friends, and she was like, no, Dexter's sweet. Remember, she wanted to date Dexter. And no, don't trust Dexter. There's something off with him, blah, blah, blah. And Dexter liked Dokes because he was like, he's the only one in here that's smart enough to realize that something's wrong with me. All these other guys like me. Dokes understands that I'm disturbed. It's like, there's nothing I can do to fit. It's something about Dokes. He realizes that I'm screwed up. And so at that point, he never trusted. Matter of fact, I remember he tried to flex on Dexter, and Dexter put some kind of weird karate move on him. He tried to like swing, and Dexter flipped it around and got him in a headlock and stuff. And he was and Dokes was like, "You're playing possum. I thought you were a sheep. You're a wolf. You're fooling these other people. I see you for what you are." He didn't think he was a serial killer, but he knew something was wrong with him. He was like, this dude, he can fight. He plays like he's a pussy. He's Clark Kent. He's really Superman. So it's like, Dokes saw that, and like I said, he tried to flex on Dexter, and then Dexter put that move on him, and he was like, this guy is dangerous. And Dokes, and remember, Dokes was following him around, and he'd have to shake him and do all. Dokes was doing, and then obviously the British lady killed him. So British lady killed him, and then Dexter killed her. So, but he had texted her. Dokes had texted the Spanish chick and told her, he's like, "Hey, don't trust Dexter." And matter of fact, they framed, and Dexter, although Dexter felt bad about it, they framed Dokes and made it look like he was a crooked cop or something, so that they wouldn't investigate his murder. Yeah, they did all kind of shit. And like I said, Dexter actually respected Dokes, but he had to cover his ass. He was like, he's dead anyway, so even though I'm sullying his reputation, I got to make it look like he was a corrupt cop and he killed some people and did all,
Yeah, Dexter's a total asshole.
Yeah,
He is.
I did feel weird about that, because I was like, Dexter always said that even though Dokes treated him like shit and didn't trust him, that he respected Dokes. And then when they killed... And then when Dokes died, he was like, "Yeah, all right, we can pin all these murders on him and stuff, because they'll stop looking at me." Yeah, so yeah, I didn't like that part of it, but I understood why it happened. But
because Dexter's only out for himself, and he has a fake code that he follows.
Yeah, he's got the code. It's like my code is up, down, left, right, BA start. That is my code. So. At that point, like I said, he had told Spanish chick, he was like, "Yo, don't trust Dexter, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, "No." But she started, I think the season before she got killed, she started realizing maybe Dexter, the stuff that Dokes was saying about Dexter is correct. She started noticing Dexter was always, she started seeing some of the stuff Dokes had saw, where it was like, okay, that person it's convenient. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she started noticing, and then she was just like on the low, like investigating him and stuff. And then she followed him to the place where he killed Colin Hanks' character. And then she draws on him, freeze, blah, blah. He's like, "Hey, and then Deborah rolls up on her, which they never liked each other. Remember, Deborah and the Spanish chick or whatever, they never liked each other. And she did stuff when she got in a position of power. She held Deborah back and wouldn't let Deborah, even though Deborah was like one of their best detectives. And she did stuff.
For some reason, I remember not liking Deborah very much either on the show.
Yeah, Deborah's character kind of came across as like this know-it-all brat. Many
unlikable things for me on the show.
And so Lauren Velez's character did shit to her, and with Stout. Hold on, Moo Bus says, "How can you hate Dexter? He's the good guy. We need more Dexter."
I don't think you guys just go around killing people. I'm sorry.
But he's killing bad guys.
I also think the code is, like I said, it's a false code, and everything is just to protect his own ass.
Like I said, what they did to Dokes,
he was brainwashed to be a, quote, good guy. He's not a real good guy. That's just my opinion, though.
Well, no, you're right about that, because Dexter admitted that, like, he was taught how to pretend to be a normal person.
Right.
He didn't. He doesn't. Like,
he's not a good guy.
Dexter, when you're playing with the kids, you have to laugh and everything. You have to pretend like you're enjoying. Ha 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 ha. He's robotic with it. He's learned how to fake everything so he can blend into society, because if he was true to his nature, he would just be a loner. He would stay off to himself, and that makes people
probably
not trust you
already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Harry's telling him, "Hey, man, you got to learn how to joke with people. You got to learn how to pretend like you're normal, and that way you can fool people and blend in." So Dexter is doing all this. So everything was always fake. But it looked like with Rita, he had kind of gotten relaxed. And then with Lumen's character, when he started seeing Lumen, he seemed like, at least with her, because he didn't have to pretend like he wasn't killing people anymore. He didn't have to pretend. He's like, oh, Lumen knows that I kill people and she's okay with it. And then he met Hannah. Like I said, I think Hannah's character would have been what they did with Lumen later. If Julia Stiles had came back, because it's the same character, a woman that knows that Dexter kills people, but she accepts Dexter for who he is. And so at that point, yeah. So like I said,
just gonna keep talking shit about this till we get to the last episode.
Well, so at that point, like I said, they kill Lauren Velez's character. Deborah, and then Deborah feels bad because that season it got weird because she started admitting, she said, "Oh my God, I'm in love with my brother." And they were still married at this point. Yeah, that got weird. They were married in real life at this point.
Yeah, I think I started tuning out at that point, like big time.
Yeah, when she's like, she was, matter of fact, they made her go to see a cop psychologist or whatever. She had like a shooting or something, and she had to, before she got to go back out in the field, she had to talk to somebody, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm in love with my brother." And she went to tell Dexter that she was in love with him, and he's like, "You're my sister. What are you doing?" You know, it was like the whole thing was weird, and then I don't know, the whole thing was strange, and then she's embarrassed because she's admitted that she has a sexual attraction to her brother. And then she finds out Dexter's at this church, this away location. And then I checked out of Dexter before that point. So it got real strange. But like I said, she's admitting that, oh, I have romantic feelings for my brother.
Here's the thing, Antonio. Like, how many seasons did this go? You said 8 or 9?
8 seasons.
Like, that's too many. This, like, the premise can't last that long. It
was a hit though, so they kept going. I'm like, they did more seasons. Like I said, there's only like 3 or 4 novels. I know there's like 3 novels.
Which makes sense that there would only be so many. Yeah.
So at that point, so like I said, Deborah follows. She finds out what Dexter is. She goes in. Lauren Velez's character, she's caught Dexter killing. She's gonna turn him in or whatever. You're under arrest. Deborah has to make a choice and kill her. So she ends up shooting.
Yeah, Deborah sucks.
So that surprised me. I said, wait a minute. So they don't put a murder on Deborah's character. And then Deborah, the next season, which is season 7, she's guilty the whole season. I killed somebody for you. Oh my God. She's doing that thing, she obviously feels remorse, and she's like really screwing her life up at that point because she feels so much guilt that she killed this innocent person that was by rights trying to bring in a serial killer.
Right, exactly.
So at that point, so she's like, oh my God, all that kind of thing. I can't remember the officer. She was dating one of the other detectives, and he knew something was wrong with Dexter.
Was she dating Angel? Did
no,
they get together, or were they always just partners?
I'm trying to let me look on the. I'm trying to figure out his name. I'm looking. Let me pull up the IMDb because I'm trying to figure out his character's name, because he was the guy that replaced Dope. Let me see. Oh man, I forgot Jimmy Smits was one of the serial killers. I mean, when they brought Jimmy Smits in. I'm like, okay, see, Michael C. Hall, Jennifer Carpenter, Deborah Morgan, James Remar, Julia Benz was Rita. Okay, Quinn, Desmond Harrington, that's him. So Quinn, Deborah and Quinn were dating, they had broke up, and then, but he knew, because I remember there was some blood splatter or something. There was a splash of blood that ended up, and then Quinn was looking into Dexter, and then they were going to put him on a murder charge, and then Dexter was like, I could really get Quinn in trouble, and he covered for him, and then so he stopped looking into Dexter. He was like, even though I think something's wrong with Dexter, he could have put that murder on me and he didn't. And so I'm just gonna lay in the cut now. It's like it was always something like that because he was like, damn, he could have had me in the jackpot for a murder that I did, even though he didn't do it. He was innocent, but that forensic evidence would have put him in, with the needle. They would have got him. So Quinn was, they had broke up. He got back with Deborah. They're in love now. They're taking the relationship. Okay, so then we go into because that's season 7. I think that was Jimmy Smith's character. He's a politician. His brother's an abuser. His brother's a cop, and got anger issues and all this kind of stuff. But Jimmy Smith's character has always wanted to be. He wants to kill people. He has compulsion, but he was always afraid. And then him and Dexter bonded, and Dexter taught him how to be a serial killer. But he tried to teach.
Yeah.
He tried to teach. Yeah. This happened.
I've blocked this all out, man. Yeah.
So he tried to teach him the code, and Jimmy was like, "Fuck that code. I just want to kill people." Yeah, he didn't want to do it. And he was like,
"Well, yeah, the code only works if you're brainwashed to believe it since you're like 3.
Yeah,
it barely works for Dexter."
No, he's excited. They kill somebody. He's like, "Let's do it again." And he's like, "No, we got to do the code. Fuck the code. Let's kill somebody else." He's like getting, and then Dexter's like, "Oh my God, I've created a monster. I've got to shut this guy down."
That's on Dexter too. He's stupid for just picking some random dude to train his code to.
He picked somebody else and made him a serial killer.
Why would you do that? He's a dumbass.
As I'm remembering all this stuff, I was like, wait a minute, that wasn't that smart. Because he taught Jimmy Smith to be a serial killer, and he taught him how to cover up and some of the stuff that Harry taught him.
Teaching somebody else to be a serial killer cannot be a part of the code.
No,
there's got to be fine print that says don't teach this to anybody else unless they're a child that has witnessed a murder.
And obviously Jimmy Smith's character, the person they killed, they had lied about it or whatever because he was wanting Dexter to help him. He was doing it for political or whatever. And the person that they killed was actually innocent. And he was like, "Oh shit, you killed somebody bad and can't do it." And now I've showed him how to cover his tracks and all this kind of stuff. And so he made somebody else. And, so he's like, damn. So, and Jimmy, obviously, Jimmy Smith I remember watching Jimmy Smith on LA Law.
Yeah, he's another good actor.
Yeah, brilliant. Awesome. Yeah, so I'm sitting there, so Jimmy Smith, and then we get the last season's Alpha Killer, which I thought that was the one. This was Dari Ingolfsson. He's from Iceland, and he was on The Others, that spinoff of the Vampire Diaries.
Never saw either.
He was on there he did 5 episodes or something of that, and he's done a bunch of American television. But he's from Iceland.
A W show or something.
Yeah, and he played the son of Dr. Vogel, who apparently had been a friend of Harry Morgan's, and Harry had taken Dexter as a child to Dr. Vogel, and she recognized, she was like, "Oh, he's going to be a killer." She was looking into people. She had studied serial killers and stuff like that, and she had recognized that as a young child. I think she had talked about his brother too, and that's why Harry only kept Dexter and didn't keep the older brother, because she realized that the older brother was so old that he was going to not be able to be saved.
And be way too much work for the dad to take care of as well. So shunt the older brother, get rid of him. So put him in the system, that'll take care of him.
But Vogel had a son, and it turns out her son, while she was studying all these serial killers, her son, who she had put in, she had him locked up in a clinical psychology where she had him put in, and he obviously he got out, and they kept it on the low that this guy was actually her son, and they played him. Matter of fact, I think they waited about 4 or 5 episodes into the season. He was playing like he was this safe, nice guy, and we didn't know who the serial killer was. That's just like, oh my God. It's they called him the brain surgeon. He would cut out he would kill the people, and that's his calling card was the brain thing. He would he was interested in dissecting the brain or whatever. He cut their scalp open and
while they were alive or while they were dead. I don't think I watched the last season completely. I think I may have just watched like the last episode.
I know when they would walk in, the person would be laid out dead. I mean, he'd kill him and cut their.
I'm curious what, like, if they like showed it or anyway. Yeah.
So the brain surgeon he had a different last name. Let me see.
The Movement loves Dexter. Dexter's like
I love Dexter too. But if Dexter's trained someone else to follow the code, they're doing twice the good. Yeah, but like I said, Jimmy Smith was like, fuck your code.
Well, and again, you can't train some grown-ass man who has his own thoughts and feelings about the code. He's already his own person. Dexter, again, was brainwashed as a child.
No, okay, hold up. I disagree with you.
Hannibal.
Hannibal was okay. Like that first season, I thought that first season was very strong television. And then they went to the second season, and I know they switched one of the actors out. The one guy quit the show and they had to switch. And they didn't rename him. They had him playing the exact same character. Really? And it got weird. Yeah, it was. I hate when shows do that. They was like, okay, we're not gonna have him play a different character. He's just gonna play the same character. He looked like the guy, but it was different. And it was just, Michael Ross said, I just tell myself at least the TV show didn't make demonic possession a thing like in the book. Yeah,
demonic possession in the books.
You had to read.
I'm not going to read them. No way.
Listen, he's filling in the gaps where the police failed. He's doing the Lord's work, if you will, as Dusty Rhodes said.
I won't.
If you will.
I won't.
If you will. But like I said, teaching Jimmy Smith's character the code was stupid, or trying to teach it to him, but but also teaching him how to cover his tracks and get away with it.
Right, which also isn't good.
That's stupid. Like, yeah, I'm gonna teach you how to get away with murder. But that whole thing. So, like I said, the brain surgeon, the first couple, Dex, they don't know who this guy is, and then a couple episodes in, you realize that the brain surgeon is this guy that looks like a normal. And I was like, he's just. I've watched so much television. I was like, this dude's on every episode.
Well, right, it's a new character.
Yeah,
he's gonna obviously.
It's you watch enough television, you start seeing the tropes, and you could tell this is gonna be the guy, even though he's playing nice. And then all of a sudden, I remember he was with the girl, and then he like abused her, and then all of a sudden you saw him switch from being a nice guy to, and you go, whoa. That is like, all of a sudden you realize, this is not a nice guy. He's a bad guy. Muba says you can't keep taking justice to the real bad guys if you get caught. Well, yeah, that's true.
Well, yes, so we're talking about him teaching the code to just some random Jimmy Smith.
He thought Jimmy Smith was a good guy too.
He should have done more research. He should have fucking done his homework better, shouldn't he?
And one thing I've noticed, Dexter, even though Dexter was portrayed originally as he was a loner and standoffish,
right,
and didn't really want to be around people.
That makes sense to me.
He doesn't want to be around people,
right?
In the end, you realize after he got with Rita and stuff, he was like, I actually do love Rita and I love people. So then he needs people that are cool with him killing people. So he was looking for.
I didn't like that aspect.
So he starts looking for people.
Anyway, go ahead.
So brain surgeon guy, which shocker, ends up being Vogel's son. And then Dexter, obviously, Dexter has been looking for him. Dexter tracks him down. He ends up, Vogel's trying to stop Dexter from killing her, because she knows Dexter's gonna, that's what Dexter was trained to do, hunt serial killers. So he's hunting her son down. She knows it's her son. He catches, boom. She's like, no, don't do it. He grabs her. He slits her throat right in front of Dexter. He kills his own mother in front of Dexter. They're still trying to find. Deborah's looking, Deborah's obviously real smart. She figures out, where he is, and all of a sudden he ends up shooting Deborah. That was the thing. He shot. Now Hannah's come back, and Dexter has decided that him and Hannah hooked up quite a bit during that season. So Hannah, people like seeing Hannah naked, which I did. as well. And so her and Michael C. Hall, they kept doing they were lovers, and little Harry loved her. And there's Sean Patrick Flannery he is brought in. He's looking for Hannah's character because she kept getting away from. She had killed a couple of her husbands or whatever. Remember that was the thing. And he was investigating her, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to prove, and I'm trying to arrest her or whatever." And he's, so you got kind of double jeopardy going on where Sean Patrick Flannery's character is trying to catch Hannah, and then Deborah's trying to catch the brain surgeon guy, and obviously Dexter's trying to catch the brain surgeon guy. And at that point, now remember, Deborah knows that Dexter's a serial killer. She's known since the end of season 6. So she went through all of season 7 knowing he's a serial killer. And season 8, she obviously knows he's a serial killer. She loves her brother, and she's like, okay, so I'm not going to talk. And not to mention, Dexter had saved some people with what he did. She was like, I don't like what you're doing, but you actually saved some people. So I'm not going to say anything or whatever. She realized the good that her father had, by teaching him whatever. So she justified him killing people.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's she was able to live with it. She stopped beating herself up for killing the cop or whatever and doing all that. So she justified it in her own head. So at that point, so you got everybody looking for the brain surgeon, and then Sean Patrick Flaherty's character, he's trying to catch Hannah's character, and then she's like, I gotta leave the country. And she was like, she wanted Dexter to come with her, and at that point, he was like, okay, I'm tired. I need a change of scenery. I love Hannah. I'm gonna go with Hannah, and me and Harry, and they decided they were gonna go to Brazil, like no extradition or whatever the hell. So they decided. So they bought these plane tickets, and the dude figured it out. So he's at the Sean Patrick Flaherty. His character is at the airport waiting on him. I got you, bitch. Blah, blah. And he's trying to catch it. And then Dexter set up something and had him. And this is the final episode of Dexter. And he had him fake arrested. They held him for a couple of hours. So
wait, who had Dexter fake arrested?
Dexter had Sean Patrick Flaherty's character
gotcha.
So that Hannah could get away. But then he managed to get out of jail. There was he had this he had a private investigator guy helping him track Hannah and look into Dexter and all this. He was checking into everything. And the brain surgeon guy had found out about him and killed him. He killed the blonde dude that was his the Sean Patrick Flaherty's private eye guy. So he killed him. Deborah's tracking him. She's got him. Well, because Dexter actually had him on the table. I remember he was going to kill a guy and he decided not to do it or something. Something went wrong. I think somebody busted in on him or something, but he had him. He was going to kill him or whatever. Let me see.
Yeah, that does sound familiar.
Let's see. Michael Ross said he actively saved the immigrants locked in the cargo container. See, well, yeah, what I'm saying. So he did a lot of stuff to help people. And
I can't remember this bullshit.
Well, like I said, so Deborah's tracking brain surgeon. She catches up with him. Oh, freeze! Boom! She draws down on him like Barney Fife or whatever the hell. And somehow he gets out and he manages to turn the gun.
Wait. Why is saving immigrants? Why is that a free pass to just fucking kill people? Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. He saved the immigrants, guys. Meanwhile, he's just fucking murdering people. But they're bad guys.
He's a supporter of DACA. Yeah, he supports the Dreamers. He's a DACA guy. So at that point,
so brain surgeon.
Yeah, brain surgeon. I think he had the other private detective's gun or something. Somehow he managed, because he shot Deborah right in the gut. He shot.
She's right. Never get shot.
Yeah. Because the bullet went through and it caused internal damage. It caused some kind of damage. She's like, she calls in though. She's like, officer down. I've been shot. Blah, blah, blah. She calls. Dexter was leaving the country, and she specifically told them not to call Dexter. And I think the one police chief guy, he called. He said, "Hey, Dexter, your sister." He was like, "Oh," he gives his son Harry to Hannah, and says, "Hey, go down to Brazil. I'm gonna catch up with you. I'll fly down after we, I have to." Because at first Hannah was like, "Hey, I know you want to kill this guy, but let's forget about him and let's go be together." And he's like,
"We'll find the next guy to kill. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, see, that's the thing though. Dexter doesn't. He's compulsive. He does not like to have. That's why he flew to another country to kill the British lady after she got away.
He's got to tie up those loose ends.
Yeah, he doesn't like loose ends. So at that point, he's like, I got to kill the brain surgeon. And he just shot my sister too. And then he finds out Deborah's, and the brain surgeon has that compulsion. He wants to finish off Deborah. He didn't get to kill Deborah. So he does some that. And in the last episode, it's so crazy. He creates this. Matter of fact, he cuts this guy's he holds this guy hostage, makes him drive him to the hospital. And he's like, "Hey, okay, guy, I did what you said. You can let me go now. I'm not going to say anything." And the guy had a scalpel on him. He said, "Oh, yeah, I know you won't say anything." I don't understand how he cut the dude's tongue out and then let the guy walk into the hospital, and the guy's got his tongue. He's like, I think he had stabbed him in the side and he cut his tongue out. And so he stumbles, and he's like bleeding all this kind of stuff. But he can't talk and tell anybody who had cut his. They said, "Oh, his tongue's been cut off. Why did he cut his tongue?"
Well, he could write it down.
Someone in the hospital actually said, "Why would he cut his own tongue off?" And I said,
"Okay,
dumbest." I couldn't believe I heard
that's
that.
some dumbass writing right there.
Yeah, somebody said, "Why did he cut his tongue out?" And I go, "You dumbass."
Right, because that's the very first thing you assume, that someone cut their own tongue out.
Why did he cut his tongue out? And I was like, I heard that and I was done at that point. I said, okay. So the police officers that were guarding, because they had guards in front of Deborah's door, because Dexter actually told the chief guy, he said, "Hey, make sure there's people watching my sister, because the brain surgeon's still out there and he's probably going to come kill her." Sure enough, he shows up at the hospital. He causes that distraction. And it's the same shit how Dexter would always get into places that were heavily guarded. He created a distraction and then like, "Hey, I'm Dexter. I just walk in." Blah, blah, blah. All this kind of. So he cuts this guy's tongue out. The guy was driving the car, and he cut his tongue out. And then the guy walks in the hospital and all this kind of stuff. And they go, "Oh, let's get him in here and let's save him." And then at that point, he slips in. He goes in and tries to kill Deborah. But what we don't know as the audience is that at that time, Deborah has gone into apoplectic shock or whatever the hell. She went in, they had to move her. So he rolled up into Deborah's room, and Batista was boom, he's waiting right there. And then because Dexter was at the hospital too, trying to get him, and he rolled up and Batista was like, "Freeze!" And then Quinn came up on him. Duh. And they take him down, and then Dexter walks in. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" He's like, "Where's my sister?" And then Quinn's like, "You didn't know." And he's like, "No, what?" He's like, "I'm sorry, man. She went into shock, and they tried to save her, and she, and that's when he realizes that there were complications from the original gunshot wound, and she went into shock, and I think they had her on life support, but they were waiting on a family member to pull, and there was a tornado, a hurricane was coming into Miami or whatever.
Well, this is getting even more ridiculous.
And so they had to move all the patients from the hospital out. Yeah, it was a hurricane. It was a storm. It was a hurricane. And yeah, and I agree with this. I was always like, I mean, serial killers. Yeah, serial killers are like, it must be a magical place. Miami must be like serial killer Mecca. Because there was a lot of serial killers in Miami.
Florida does attract a lot of characters.
That is true. And but yeah, there was a hurricane at the hospital, and they had to evacuate all the patients. So at that point, like I said, Deborah's on she's pretty much brain, because they even said even if she did revive, her brain was clinically dead or whatever. So she was going to be
bringing back these vague memories I have of this episode.
Yeah, she was going to be she was never going to be normal.
Right.
Yeah, she was never going to be. So at that point, Dexter, he's like, "Okay, I'm going to take Deborah, he was like, okay, I got to kill brain surgeon, but brain surgeon is in police custody now.
Right.
So this was weird, and they let Dexter get away with this. So this pissed me off. Dexter had given his notice. Remember, he's moving to Brazil. He's given his notice, but his last day of work wasn't until the end of the week. So they said, oh, technically he still works here, so they let him come back. And they let him have, this guy had shot his sister. Know, police. It's like when you are personally attached to the victim, they don't let you near the person, the perpetrator.
Well, only in like a movie or a TV show where there's like,
well, he slipped.
It's street justice, so to speak.
Because Batista even said, Dexter, you don't even work anymore. Why are you back here? He's like, why did you go sit? Because he came in, he acted like he was trying to do a forensic report, came in with this folder, and he brought a pen and sat it down on the table next to him, next to the brain surgeon guy. That way, he knew the brain surgeon guy would see the pen and want to stab and try to kill him with it. Because there wasn't any audio in it. They're watching on the video.
Right.
They've got video in the room that he's being held in. And he goes, Dexter actually leaned in. He says, I'm going to kill you, right? And he grabs, the brain surgeon guy grabs the pen, stabs Dexter. He stabs him in the arm. And then Dexter takes the pen out of his arm and then stabs him in the jugular. And that ends him. So that kills him. And then the cops roll up and they were like, whoa, what are you doing? You just killed our guy.
Self-defense.
And then, he said it's self-defense. They watched the video back. And sure enough, the guy had stabbed him and then Dexter took the pen and stabbed him in the neck. So they go, so the whole 8 seasons, they never figure out that Dexter's the serial killer, right? So Dexter killed him. But Batista was like, yo, man, you don't even... He said, well, technically, I still work here until the end of the week.
See, and I remember wanting Batista to have more of like a comeuppance or a like... I kind of wanted him to catch Dexter, frankly.
Yeah, not to mention Dexter killed his ex-wife. The Lauren Velez's character, the chief or whatever, right? They had gotten married in like season 4, I think.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, they got married and then they got divorced, but they kept sleeping together. They got divorced.
Like I was always rooting for Angel to just figure it out or kill his ass or something. Anyway,
so, it was crazy. So then Dexter's like, okay, I've killed the brain surgeon. Now I've got to go and take Deborah off of this life support since her brain's damaged anyway, and she's never going to recover. So he takes her, and then he takes her on the slice of life. And he's now at this point, somehow Hannah manages to get on the plane with her passport and get Harry out of there and fly off to Brazil because at first she was like, you can bring Harry later. And he was like, no, I trust Harry with you. I want you to have him. And take him with you. And so he goes to Brazil. She goes to Brazil with little Harry. And then Dexter is taking the slice of life out in the middle of the hurricane. He drops, he goes to one of his. Yeah, he's and I mean the sea is like going crazy and everything. He's on the last boat. He takes her out there and he just, he's holding her body and saying his goodbye. He just drops her body off into the water. I guess he's like, I'm leaving that part of my life behind. And then after he drops her off, he goes, I've got this vicious cycle. It needs to end with me. So then he just drives. You see the waters get like raging, and he just drives into the storm.
He just ditches his kid, basically.
Yeah. Well, they find out that Dexter's his boat has been destroyed because they find the back end of the slice of life and they go, oh man, Dexter's lost at sea. So they don't know what happened to Dexter. And then Hannah's watching, she's looking on the internet or whatever, and she sees that the forensic psychiatrist or whatever, psychologist Dexter Morgan died, Miami PD, whatever.
Yeah.
And so she's all sad that, but she's like, I'll raise Harry. And, teach him to be a good guy or whatever, even though she's a serial killer too.
Right. So, like, how does the cycle end with the kid? the logic and the writing of that last season and last episode is ridiculous.
Not to mention a season or so before, they had shown after the Trinity thing that Harry started to have violent tendencies, and Dexter was afraid that
so Dexter's just a wuss that just doesn't want to deal with raising his own serial killer son that he created.
Yeah, Dexter was afraid that Harry was going to become like him.
Oh, he will. He 100% will.
So so you put
probably
him
without
with
a code though. Probably with no code.
Yeah, and Hannah again is a serial killer.
Right.
Hannah's a serial killer. Code. Hannah's a serial killer.
So your
father's a serial killer,
and gets worse. Good job, Dexter. Good job.
So she'll probably raise him and teach him how to kill, and he'll probably be even better at killing than Dexter because he'll have Hannah's knowledge of like chemicals and stuff. What to mix?
Yeah, he can less traceable.
Yeah, she'll teach him how to do the plant-based killing. So that's like I said, they had already demonstrated, and then then you see that Dexter's. What pissed me off is Dexter sitting there raging out. He's grown a beard, and he's
right.
And you see that he's just like working as a lumberjack.
But he's like raging. He's like mad. I don't remember.
Well, he's sitting there with this weird look, and he just looks at the camera. And I'm like, wait a minute.
So what's that supposed to be?
He was never cured of the dark passenger.
Right. Of course not.
Compulsion to kill. That's what I'm saying. So his compulsion to kill was never cured. So he still has that. Hannah's still a serial killer. His son had already started. He started being concerned that his son was going to grow up and be like him, which is something Harry. So Father Harry had told him, like, hey, man, he's going to become like you if you're not careful.
Father Harry should have told him to get a vasectomy is what Father Harry should have done.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So at that point, okay. Anyway. So at that point, but that's the final. That's Dexter. So that pissed me off. I thought I'd give that. Yeah. I thought the season, matter of fact, I didn't like the final serial killer either. So the guy that played Vogel's son, he's all right. It was like you go from
Lithgow?
You go from John Lithgow to Jimmy Smits to Edward James Olmos.
And Julia Stiles was in the mix there. It was
she was. That was season 5. Yeah, but she wasn't the serial killer. She wasn't the alpha. It was the guy that was like he was a motivational speaker, and they were taking young ladies out in the woods and like raping them and then cutting them up and putting them in barrels. So, and then Lumen got away from him, and then she was trying to hunt down the people that had raped her. And she's trying to get her revenge on the people that had raped her. So that was the whole thing.
So in the last episode, Dexter doesn't get caught. He doesn't go with the son. He doesn't go with the woman he loves, I guess.
He loves her. I was like, did you all of a sudden stop loving Hannah?
Staying in the States? Being a lumberjack?
Yeah.
Why?
It didn't make sense. He didn't stop loving her. He obviously loves his son.
Right. Like, why wouldn't he go and try to get to them, even if it's a while? I don't get that.
Okay, your sister's dead. I get that, right? Your sister's dead. Mm-hmm. Hannah got away, and she's got your son.
Yeah.
Go be with the woman you love. That didn't make any sense to me.
You know what, though? I think it's probably just because he doesn't really have any real emotions. I mean, he's a serial killer who has been taught to fake emotions. I don't think he probably didn't really love her or his son. They're just like people that were in his life.
Harry. He really loved Harry.
Well, then why did he let Harry go and not go? Why is he lumberjack?
He thought he was going to be joining them, but he's talking about he's doing this noble sacrifice where I'm doing it for the greater good. I think if I go down there, maybe I will infect my son with me.
But he's already but the mom's a killer too.
Yeah, the mom's a killer too. Yeah, like I said, the whole thing, I was real pissed off because I wanted a happy ending. I wanted Dexter to be able to go off because especially after Rita died and everything.
We are so different, Antonio. Like I wanted him caught or dead. I did. I wanted one of those at the end.
This is all for you. This is all for you. Okay, so that is the final episode of Dexter. So now
Ridiculous.
We have to go into the final season 6B of The Sopranos.
Oh my god! Okay, we're at 11:30. I'm just saying we can't like go over an hour on this.
Yeah, I know.
Because I have a meeting later.
Yeah.
A very important playing video game.
Can you give me about an hour? Okay, give me 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, give me an hour. Okay, so let's get it.
Wait. Okay. Woo!
Well, there was so much that I had to talk about that was screwed up about Dexter. So now we're on to The Sopranos.
Dexter.
Final season of Sopranos was split into two halves. It was 6A and 6B. Matter of fact, if you go on HBO, I thought that was weird that they have the season split up like that on HBO Max.
Oh, I haven't even
They sold Breaking Bad like that too. It was like the first, but now you can get a complete box set and you'll have everything. But if you go on HBO Max, it says season 6A and season 6B. There were 18 total episodes on the finals. It's still just season 6. It's just season 6 had 18 episodes. So I don't understand.
It is how they released it though.
They released it like that in box sets because you could buy the first half in a box set and then you could buy the other. And then so I get that, but
wasn't there a break in between the first and second half of that?
Yeah, that's why they broke it up like that. So because it was an extended season, so they needed to take a break.
That's right.
So season 6B is where all the good shit happens. Everybody starts dying and getting shot and everything. So let me see.
It's been so long since I watched The Sopranos.
So I think it's season 6B, episode 5, I think. It's called Heidi and Kennedy, I think. And this is the episode, because this is one thing I noticed when I watched, because I went back and watched the final episode, which of The Sopranos, which is called Made in America. Okay. This is the Don't Stop Believing and all that, where they were playing Journey at the
just rewinding just a little bit, does he get shot at the beginning of that last season?
He was in a coma. Junior had shot him, I guess, in the season finale of season 5 or so. He got shot.
Okay, and then the first half of season 6 was his we're kind of in his mind. Well, he's in his coma.
Yeah, Junior had Alzheimer's or whatever. Dementia was coming in, and he didn't really. He shot him. Didn't know who the hell he was.
And hey, Tony. I mean, he's gonna get shot eventually. Anyway.
And so Tony's in a coma, and then they're doing all this flashback stuff in season 6A.
Right.
But then he wakes up, and then we go into season 6B.
Well, not just weird flashback stuff, but just like living inside of his head stuff.
Yeah, it was it was flashbacks and dead people that, I think Pussy came back.
Yeah, but it was like things were happening they weren't like flashbacks. It's not like stuff that had happened before. It was
they showed his father. They showed his father and stuff like that.
Okay. I'd have to rewatch it again, but there was a lot of weird.
They showed Tony as a kid and showed his sister and all that kind of stuff.
But he also was hanging out with dead people, right? Anyway.
Yeah, it was like 6A. It's a matter of fact, I'm gonna go back and watch because I like having the stuff on in the background while I'm packing these comics. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll throw that in and just watch. But so like I said, I think it's called Heidi and Kennedy. This is when Christopher Moltisanti, Tony's nephew, kept going back and forth with his drug addiction and all this kind of stuff. He's high. He's driving Tony. Together. Yeah, and Tony's because they keep showing the FBI is clearly about to arrest Tony Soprano. They've got bugs everywhere. Everybody is going.
It's happening.
I guess Tony started getting concerned that Christopher might crack under pressure. Christopher is high. Mm-hmm. He crashes the car with Tony in it. He's laying there. He's a little banged up, but he's still alive. He survived the car crash. Tony kills him. Tony kills Christopher.
Right. Oh, I forget all about all this stuff in the last.
So that's why Christopher is not in the final episode of The Sopranos, because Tony killed him. And I think in the very next episode, Bobby Bacala dies. He gets shot because they're doing, what's the guy? Phil Constellano, whatever, the New York mob boss. There's a war because after Johnny Sacamone turned state's evidence, he flipped. They got him in, they had given him like 50 years or whatever, and then they locked him up. He turned state's evidence or whatever.
I think Tony getting shot really messed a lot of things up too, right? I'm trying to remember.
Well, they had put what's the name? The dude from the E Street Band. He was the boss, and
oh shit, I forgot.
Yeah, and he worried himself to death. He didn't really want to. He was the underboss. He likes being the underboss. He don't like being the man in charge, right? So
yeah, it's not for everybody.
And so now you got a war though. You got New York versus New Jersey, and so there, so the field guy, he's I remember he had a problem with Tony because they had the gay guy. There was the gay gangster guy that the whole
the
thing.
Short round. Yeah. I'm visualizing him. Yeah. I'm visualizing him in like his leather daddy get up when they like catch him. I think they're collecting money from one of their gay bars and like he's in it or something. Like
they go, what the fuck? Oh, I'm just playing and all. Not to mention they had called him. I remember one of the new guys on the crew had showed up to the construction site early. He was in the car. He was in the car giving that dude head. He was giving the guy head, and he raised up, and he saw the dude had seen him. He was sucking the dude off, and the dude he raised up, and he was like, "Oh no!" And then he started talking to him and he's letting everybody know. He's like, "Hey, the dude's gay." And I think the field guy from New York, he was in a relationship with the dude's sister or somebody in his family, so he felt disrespected. He was like, "Yo, this dude's,
cheating on my sister. Or whatever.
And he's like, it's a disgrace, and he's old school. He believes that like if you were gay, that something should happen to you. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't. That he's old school, and that's what they do to people like that. So he was like, he felt disrespected because he's like, this dude is with somebody in my family, and he's gay, and he's doing that. And he be bringing something home to her, or whatever, And so obviously he took him out, and that caused problems because, like I said, once Johnny Sachs went in, he became the boss of New York. So Tony's having to report to this dude. New Jersey is separate, but they still have to run shit through New York.
Right.
So it was like he was like, God, I can't stand this guy, and I'm having to kick up to him and all this kind of stuff. And so there was a war all in season 6. There was between the Sopranos family and the New York and all this. So there was a war.
Remind me, what's Carmela doing at this time?
She's doing her real estate thing. She had reconciled with Tony. Remember, she wanted to leave Tony because he had killed her.
Yeah, but then he gets shot, so that kind of changed that dynamic, right?
Yeah, and she took some of his money.
She stayed by his side.
Yeah, she knew where he kept all his little stacks of hidden money. And she took some of
that's right.
Yeah, she was doing shit to get revenge for her.
Yeah, she was getting her ducks in a row when he was in that coma. I forgot.
Yeah. And so at that point, so like I said, Tony woke up. She decided, she's like, hey, we're Catholic, we can't get divorced. So even though I'm mad at you, I'm gonna forgive you.
My grandma was shunned from her family when she got divorced.
Yeah, so she was like, we don't want to get divorced, all this kind of thing. So at that point, she had reconciled with the fact that, okay, even though Tony got on my nerves, I'm forgiving him. There's a war. They had caught Tony with a gun. The FBI, they had pulled him over.
Not a good thing.
Yeah, and so with all the other indictments, but they hadn't indicted him like some of the other people. So he's sitting there going, they arrested these other people. Why haven't they arrested me? And he's talking to his lawyer, and he's like, they're probably building a bigger case against you.
Right. They're getting their shit together.
Yeah, they're getting their shit together. He's like, so they are going to arrest you. And he's like, damn. Because he's like, there's nothing nobody can fix on this weapons charge or anything. He's like, yeah. He said, if I was guessing, they're building their case and they're gonna hit you with it. And which the FBI, you were showing the FBI, and he had that connection dude in the FBI.
Right.
And he was talking to him, and he was trying to like, yo, man, we can work this out. And dude was, he couldn't help him out. He wasn't nothing he could do with it. They were clearly wiretapping him and everything. The
snowball had gotten too big by this point. Like,
they killed Bobby. They killed Bobby Bacala, who was married to Tony's sister.
Oh my God! Yes, Janice.
And they married Janice.
That's some hilarious shit.
Okay. And it was starting to affect business in New Jersey and New York. So one of the other New York bosses, the underboss or whatever, and the old boss that had that heart attack and died, his son, I think it's Carmine Carmine Jr., not Carmine Sr. was the original head of the New Jersey
That
family.
was like in the hospital, like at the very beginning, like in the first season.
Carmine Jr. was weak. Carmine Jr. was weak. His father was old school.
Like stepped in and kind of because wasn't Carmine's family supposed to be in charge, and that's kind of how
Carmine
Sopranos kind of pushed to the forefront there because he was a wuss.
It did. And matter of fact, I enjoyed our Dexter conversation. So go back later and watch the Dexter conversation. Yeah, we did that. We did Dexter first. So now we just started on Sopranos final season. So, Carmine, his father died, and Tony thought it was going to be. And they gave it to Johnny Sachs, and then the field guy was New York. So it was like, and so they were like, so then Johnny Sachs got arrested.
And that's what
and snitched on everybody. And the field guy had a problem. He didn't like Tony, and they had problems, especially when he didn't give up the gay dude and all that kind of stuff. They had it was
that's that character that ran away, right? And he had like this. He had an affair.
And they found out where he was, and they killed him.
Like Vermont or something.
Yeah. He didn't cover his tracks that well.
No.
Because I've heard bounty hunters and like U.S. Marshals talk about. He's like, these criminals always make the same mistakes when they go on a run. That's why we always catch them and stuff. But he's still gay. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you don't stop liking men because you're on the run, or you make mistakes. Right. So there'll be little at that point. Okay, so like I said, they finally
Joey Pants. Sorry, I couldn't think of
Joey Pantaleone.
Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. Anyway.
But so it's like Carmine was the head of the New. Okay, I thought he was the head of New Jersey, but either way, I know Johnny Sachs took he was the underboss, and Johnny, his wife Jenny was
right.
Yeah,
Jenny,
and
yep.
And that's why Ralphie
they always
made the fat joke about her.
Yep.
And
I gotta rewatch too. Whoever, it's been
Frank
a while.
Vincent.
It's been a while.
Yeah, Frank Vincent played a pure scumbag. But Johnny Sachs' wife Jenny, she was a big girl, and that episode where where Johnny found out she was like sliding ho-hos and stuff. She's supposed to be on like Deal a Meal or something.
Well, because he gets pissed whenever anyone calls her fat, and he backs her up because she's a good woman to him. And he was fucking pissed when he found the ho-hos.
Yeah, so I messed with a girl like that.
Was she that hit food?
Yeah, I opened her cabinet. She went to work. I was staying at her house I stayed there for like 4 days. I was off, and I grabbed me a bag and I opened the damn cabinets up, and all she had in there was fucking snack cakes and candies and shit. I was like, oh my god!
You're like, this is a peek into my future.
No, I was fat and it disturbed me.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean. Yeah,
I was like, I like snacks and stuff, but my God, she was hoarding the shit. Like it was like I opened her refrigerator up and there was no regular food in there.
How long did you last, Antonio?
I ate some snacks in there, and she had some chips and stuff like that. She had chips and salsa, but
how long did you last in that relationship?
Oh shit, a couple weeks. I was like, yeah, we didn't last long.
I hope you took some bags of snack cakes with you when you left.
But Junior became the head of Jersey.
Yeah, that's right.
Once Jackie Aprile, he died. He had cancer.
That's what I was thinking of in the beginning.
Yeah, Jackie Aprile, and because that was the first episode of The Sopranos. They were all, he's in the hospital. He's got cancer. He's been getting treatments. He's getting worse.
Right.
All this kind of stuff. And then it was supposed to go to Tony. It was clearly supposed to be Tony. He realized that I need to be the power behind the throne. So
wasn't there already at the beginning of the season? Wasn't there already heat on them? Like, isn't that?
Yeah, it was
part of the deal of the show. Like, he's always watching his ass. He's always assuming he's going to get caught by the Fed.
Yeah. And he was like, okay, if I let Junior, because him and Junior were. Junior's like, I've got seniority. I should be the boss, and everybody knew it was Tony.
And this is
Everybody knew.
mom's still alive as well. The mom,
mom,
Junior's sister, yeah.
And which she was only supposed to be on the show one season, and she was so brilliant.
People
they kept her alive.
Yeah.
And then so they did the second season, and then she got sick and she died. Yeah, she won an Emmy that first season. She was so good. Yeah, they gave her an Emmy.
Yeah, she was a mean bitch. It was great.
Yeah, she was. But yeah, so Tony was like, okay, I'm gonna let Junior be the boss, and then I'm gonna run shit through Junior. But Junior started really thinking he was really the boss.
Right. Junior thought he was a little too big for his britches.
Yeah, he really thought he was the boss. He didn't realize that Tony was just
kind of something he wanted his whole life. I think he wanted to be one of the big dogs.
Yeah, him and his brother. Yeah, it was like he never thought he was in charge of the family. He's like, I'm the boss
Tony's
now.
dad was Junior's brother-in-law because Tony's mom was Junior's sister, right? Okay, yeah.
No. Tony's dad and Junior were brothers.
They were the brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, the mom was the sister-in-law of Junior. Okay, got it. Not that it matters.
Oh yeah. So Tony's lovely mom. Yeah, and but okay.
And then when Janice comes in, and then that's a whole bunch of good shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got you got Janice, and then you got the other sister. I think she was the.
Oh shit! I forgot about the other sister. The normal sister.
Yeah, that lived the normal life.
I think her husband's a gangster too. I may be wrong about that.
No, they were regular. They were square.
Okay.
Yeah. Tony's other sister, their family was completely legitimate.
Okay.
But Janice was she was a hippie, and she had moved out to.
She liked the bad boys.
Yeah, she liked bad boys, but she moved out to like Seattle or whatever, was living in a combine and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And she had a kid that she didn't raise.
No.
And the whole thing was crazy.
She's a manipulator. Yeah. Like she's just straight up. Yeah, she's gross.
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, Janice was incredible. I loved. I've seen her on a few things, and she's always that actress. She's a great actress.
Yeah.
So matter of fact, she's on the blacklist. After Red had to get new associates, she became Red's accountant or whatever. She started handling because he had to kill the one chick. The one chick had betrayed him or whatever, and she knew all. She had worked for him for like 25 years and knew all the money.
On the blacklist?
Yeah, she had she knew where all his secret bank accounts was. She took all his money. So all of a sudden, Raymond Reddington was broke, and then. Raymond spent that whole season trying to track her down and kill her before she could reveal his secret to the daughter. And then, which they still haven't fully told us what that is. And, the one shocker was, hey, the guy you think that is Raymond Reddington, he's really not Raymond Reddington. Raymond Reddington killed him and took his place. So he's not really Raymond Reddington. And it's like that whole thing got real confusing, but it's been picked up for another season. So it's coming back. So we're going to maybe they'll explain it. At that point, but yeah, Janice, the chick that played Janet, ended up being Red's new accountant. And after he killed the other girl. And, but Janice and Tony, and then like I said, you barely see the other sister sometimes.
Yeah, she doesn't. I don't think she.
And she's kind of a boring character anyway. The dynamic was Tony, James Gandolfini's
it just adds a little flavor character to the background.
So Janice, obviously, she marries Bobby, has the baby with him. She sees it as a chance to start over because she screwed up her other kids or whatever. I think she had 2 kids, but I know her son.
She may have. She's
Yeah. Her son was. Her son changed his name to some. She had given him a hippie name.
Yeah.
I think she had named him Harpo, and he changed his name. And he was like, "This is stupid. I'm a grown man. I'm not going to be calling myself Harpo." And he changed his name, and that hurt her feelings or whatever. So I was like, okay. But like I said, so at this point, Tony has killed Christopher, and then the very next episode, Bobby gets shot and they have to do his thing. Things between New York and New Jersey are getting crazy. The Phil guy, they're trying to squash. They realize it's bad for business. Johnny Sacks locked up, blah, 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 blah. Other guy from New York
out of control. They can't run their businesses properly.
Yeah, they're like, yo, y'all bringing too much heat down with this war and it's affecting everybody's money.
Yeah.
And so Carmine Jr. and the underboss from New York, they have a secret meeting with Tony. And they're like, okay, we're willing to let you take out Phil. We think the war has gotten, they decided to back Tony. That was the thing. So they were like, okay, because they had tried to talk to Phil. It was kind of like Carmine Sr. Where Johnny Sachs was wanting to kill. He was wanting Tony to kill Johnny Sachs. Johnny Sachs was wanting Carmine Sr. to be taken out so he could be the boss. And then that caused problems between him and Johnny Sachs because Tony decided, I'm not going to take Carmine out. Even though Carmine was taxing Tony. That was why he was taking too much money. You know, all the bosses always get their cut, but Tony felt like Carmine was taxing him too much. He was taking, he was some of his little side. He was always earning on the side, doing little side jobs and not fully kicking in what he's supposed to the boss. But he would give him something. And then the guy goes, well, I remember they had a construction job that he had hooked up that was in a separate territory. But he was like, yeah, it's in a separate territory, but you used our connections to make it happen. So we feel like I should get like 20% or whatever. And he was like, oh, shit. And then Johnny Sachs was like, well, why don't you take him out? Because he got mad because Carmine wouldn't let him take out Ralphie for calling his wife fat.
Oh, God, that's right.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong now. Wasn't Phil, he was getting really, like, not big for his britches because he was in charge, but he, like, somebody had commented, like, he was a real son of a bitch. Phil, the New York guy. Like, he started getting real.
Sweet. I love that. I love when the books show up. That's awesome.
Definitely. I like seeing positive brand comments.
Yeah, as opposed to, you suck, Antonio, fuck you.
We haven't seen those in a little while. So
my Indiegogo
last time I was like, screw you guys.
Indiegogo page
will be coming out.
Yeah, some of those
people can comment about it.
But yeah, so at that point, like I said, Phil's in charge of New York.
Getting kind of crazy.
Yeah, like, he was definitely he was unreasonable with the
exactly
with the gay gangster. He was unreasonable with him.
He was
Johnny Sachs
trigger happy, wasn't he?
He was
just wanting to get rid of everybody.
And then, like I said, once he decided, him and Tony, they were shooting at it. Everybody, they people were going after each other, right?
Yeah.
So the underboss from New York is like, if he takes him out, I'll be the boss. So I'm cool with that. So we can take him out. Yeah. So he talked to Carmine. He's like, okay, Carmine Jr. and underboss, they get Tony, because the FBI actually had this. They had the wiretap, and they actually had this phone call. Because, he didn't say, hey, we're going to kill somebody on the phone.
Right.
They go, hey, we need to meet. He said, I need you to set up a meeting with the little guy. Tony called. So, okay, set up a meeting. So they go to a location. They sit down. And, yeah, man, this war is getting out of hand. We need everything to get back there. And so then Tony goes, what about my sister? And they're like, well, what about her? He said, you killed her husband. That's my family. Mm-hmm. You killed one of my guys, and he was married to my sister. And then dude was like, I will work out a price on that. So at that point, and it kind of makes, because it looked like, because I know how Tony does. So if they kick him, they'll kick him the money for taking out Bobby.
Right.
He'll take a piece of it and then give the rest to Jen.
Oh, I know that.
It was because he did the same thing when he went later in the episode. Well, he went to visit Junior in the nursing home, and he goes, Junior, where did you hide your money? And Junior's like, hey, you guys keep asking me, because somebody else had asked him where he hid the money earlier.
I forgot about that little.
He didn't remember.
Yeah.
He didn't. He don't remember where the hell he was.
Yeah, I think since like season 1, Junior was kind of like going.
He was pretending.
Oh, that's when he got busted,
and then it really happened.
For the trial. Yeah. That's right. Yes. That's right.
He was pretending to be crazy, and then he really started losing his mind.
Yeah.
So, they were like, "Where did you hide the money?" And he's like, "Why does everybody keep asking me that? I told you I don't know. What are you talking about? Who are you? He don't know who he is. All this kind of thing." And so he's like, "Hey." He said, Bobby got killed. You need to give something to Janice for that. So I'm sitting there going, he already told the New York dude that they got to pay for shooting Bobby. And now he's going to Junior and saying that Junior needs to come up with some money because Bobby was one of his soldiers and he needs to give Janice some money to take care of her and the baby. So he'd already talked to two different people about kicking. Obviously, like I said, the New York dude said we'll come up with a figure. Okay, cool. And Tony said, okay. And he said, I need you. He told the New York dude, he said, I need you to give me a location on field. And he goes, I'm not comfortable with that. He didn't want to give him up directly, but he told him, he said, I'm not comfortable doing that, but you guys can handle it. He said, you can handle it however you want to handle it. So he's telling, he's like, look, I'm not going to drop a dime on him, but if you take him out, I'm not going to come back on you.
Right. Yeah,
that's all Tony needed to know at that point.
Yeah.
Tony started looking for him. He started having his people look for him at that point. And he tried to make Paulie his next lieutenant. Paulie and Paulie started going, look, man, I don't think I want to be, because Paulie's a soldier. He should not be in any type. You know what I'm saying?
No, he's not smart enough. Let's be real.
He's muscle. It's like when you watch The Wire and stuff, Weebay shouldn't be running shit. He's the muscle. That's what you got him there for.
And also, like, he just wants to sit there and eat pasta and tell a good story. Like, I want to hear some of his stories.
But I mean, he's muscle, though.
But yeah,
he's not the guy. The dude from the East Street Band, he's a smart guy. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy.
Right, but if he's in charge, you get that remember the episode where they're trying to find the Russian in the forest? That's a great episode.
That was a classic episode.
And they gotta like find him.
And they killed the wrong dude. Yeah. So like the whole thing, like I said, is Tony's extremely flawed, but he's but see, that's the thing. Yeah,
he's definitely flawed. They're all flawed. I mean, they're everybody's flawed. We're all flawed.
At this point in the final episode, we've shown that the FBI is clearly got a wiretap going, and they've got enough.
Yeah, they're going to drop the hammer at any point.
They could get him. Tony talked to his lawyer. The gun charge won't go away, and the lawyer's telling him they're about to pinch you.
Yep.
Just get your ducks in a row. So I think when he went to Junior about the money, and he went to the New York dude about the money, he's trying to get money to put back for Carmela.
I think I agree with you. Yeah,
that's what he's doing because he knows he ain't gonna be able to earn anything. So he's like, hey, you got to take care of Bobby. And in the reality, like I said, he done asked two different people about money for Bobby. Janice don't know shit about it.
Right.
So I think Tony is trying to get money so that if he gets pinched, Carmela's gonna have money. Steven Van Sant, Steven Van Sant. That's him. So little Steve. Yeah. So at that point, like I said, I thought that was interesting because I've watched the final episode of Sopranos a couple times. Like I said, he asked two different people about money for Bobby and didn't say shit about money to Janice because she's a money grubbing bitch. And
she's taken enough throughout the years.
Yeah, so at that point, I feel like Tony, like I said, he had to talk to his lawyer. His lawyer's telling him, he's like, look, they're not dropping the gun charge. They're just waiting to pinch you. They are going to arrest you. You need to be prepared for that. He's letting them know. So Tony is trying to get money, but he's also trying to take Phil out. So they find out Phil's at the gas station with his wife. He's on the passenger side. His wife's driving. Mm-hmm. One of his hitters rolls up on him. Boom, boom. And right in front of the wife. And she's like, they kill him right there. Boom. Oh, man. Boom. So he drops and she gets out of the car and doesn't put it in park. It's in
God, I forgot this.
He's because he's laying dead, and then the dude stands over and shoots him one more time in the chest just to make sure. And his head is laying there under the wheel, and she gets out in the car, drives forward, and it crunches his skull. The wheel of the tire drives over his head, and you hear it go. And there's a black dude. There's like 3 or 4 people off to the side that watch this whole thing. Because the other dude, the hitter, he gets in the car and he just peels out. He's like, and he just pulls out. The black dude sees Phil's head explode like a grape. And he goes, and he just vomits right there. Yeah, he just vomits because he sees the brain splattered and everything. Yeah. Okay. At that point, you got Anthony Soprano. He's talking about he's finna join the army, and I was like, "This dumb fuck don't belong in the military."
I always hated Anthony. Yeah. Like, was Anthony ever interesting? Or
no, I never thought he was. I was never. Matter of fact, the kids were kind of boring. Meadow was.
The kids were Meadow sucks too.
Yeah, Meadow sucks too.
Don't care.
And I was like, and the whole thing, like, yeah, when she decided that because they had a conversation in the last episode too, where he was busting her balls for not being able to figure out what kind of career she had. And
right.
he said, I thought you were going to go be a lawyer for black people. Remember, she was working, she was trying to like do this.
You're right.
He fell for that. And I was like, he's like, you were going to do, because she's doing this. She's like, black power and help everybody. We've got to, we've got to use our white privilege to help everybody.
Yeah.
So she's doing that whole thing. And Tony, and matter of fact, when she was in school, she started sleeping with a black dude. And Tony didn't like that at all.
When did she kind of got back in line, at least as far as Tony's concerned? When did she date one of the gangsters, one of the mafia? Didn't she start dating one of the young?
She dated
dudes, and then he died, right? And then she was like,
yeah, the April guy. She dated his son. And then remember, Tony had to kill him because he knocked over. They were playing a card game, and him and one of his buddies, they rolled up in there because Tony told a story about when he was trying to get into the crew. They knocked off some old gangsters and apparently got away with it.
Right,
but they
got some cred. Yeah.
Yeah. Joey April, whatever his name, the April guy, his son rolled up in there. Into the game, and somebody got shot at the game.
Right.
And so at that point, he was working for Christopher, I think. He was working for Christopher. They found out he tried to run. They rolled up on him, ploop, ploop, and took him out. And that was the end of it because, but he started sleeping with Meadow.
Yeah, that was Meadow's foray into the gangster world.
Yeah, and so, yeah, she went from the black dude to him. And
Meadow is just, not... Yeah,
and so because I remember.
But look at her mom. Like Carmela's hardly likable very much either. I mean, she's an interesting character, but I wouldn't want to be her friend. I wouldn't want to hang out with her.
Carmela slept with one dude during the show. She slept with that one professor dude.
She had an affair.
That's right. And then Tony, which Tony didn't like. And
of course not. He's the only one that can have Goombas or whatever.
Goombas and all this stuff. So at that, that whole thing.
Goombas
are the things from Mario Brothers, I think. So the FBI clearly knows Tony. They got him on tape. I mean, he's smart on the phone. He doesn't say, hey, let's go whack a guy or whatever. But they'll go, hey, let's have a meeting. And then shortly after the meeting, because the FBI has this tape of him arranging a sit down with a known mob boss from New York. And then just a few days after this meeting, they find Phil at the gas station and put the hit on him in front of his wife. So they've got this as evidence. They've got way too many hours of phone calls from Tony Soprano. Yeah, we need to find somebody. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, let's meet. Blah 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 blah. And
I bet they put pressure on a lot of people when Tony was shot too. Like I bet they were getting a lot of their shit together during that time as well.
Because they were like, we spent the last 4 years investigating Tony Soprano, and we almost lost him. And that would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars of man hours and all the money that they it cost hundreds.
I'd rather have him alive, really. After all that
they
work.
were like, a lot of the case, he would have been the one that they would have been trying to flip. They took John. But that was weird. Like when they arrested Johnny Sack, and Tony thought they were going to come for him, and they didn't. And even when Johnny Sack snitched, they still did. And Tony was like, why come they didn't arrest me? So he was wondering then, because he was like, clearly Johnny Sack could have gave him my name.
I think they're just trying to make Tony fuck up, like make him misstep in a really significant way by not, by not jumping on him. Like, he was. All these other people are getting arrested.
Yeah, so he was concerned because he was like, Johnny clearly could say, yeah, me and Tony were working together in the rest, because he clearly, they had him on the news saying that he snitched,
right?
And then Tony is able to walk free, and he's finally the boss, because even though Junior's the boss, he's kind of he's loopy. Nobody thinks that. And
it's kind of interesting because we've been following Tony throughout this whole series. And in our minds, he's like the boss, even though he's not the boss. And now he's like becoming the actual boss. It's interesting.
Yeah. Because with Joey April, he was reporting to him, and they were like best friends and all this kind of thing. Yeah. So Tony was the underboss. He was the capo or whatever. So it was like, He was never the guy. And then when they tried to make him the guy, he says, "No, make Junior the guy." And then, but everything will run through me.
Yeah, smart move.
Yeah, which is what it was. And then even the FBI bought it because they put Junior at the top.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like that was a smart move because they were clearly watching them, and so it's like, okay. At that point, like I said, so we've got FBI wire. We've got Tony knows he's about to get arrested by the FBI or whatever. They got the gun charge on him. The war is they're trying to end the war because New York and New Jersey is realizing that the war is causing too much problems, it's causing money. So they give the nod to Tony to take out Phil. So they give him the nod. Okay, he's bad for business. You can take him out.
That happens.
So at that point, they've given him the nod. Tony obviously pulls that trigger on that and has his hitter go get him. They kill him in front of his wife. Head explodes. Boom. At that point, now the FBI is like, damn, we didn't know exactly because they knew Tony had the meeting, but they don't talk on the phone about stuff like that. So at that point, matter of fact, at that point, they were doing stuff like on the wire. They had prepaid phones. They had burners, which you see later seasons of when they stopped using the pay phones, they started using burner phones. Tony, I remember Paulie called. He said, "Let me call you back on the pay phone." Called him back on the little minute phone. They started doing that stuff. He was being extra cautious about what they said on the phones.
Yeah, as they should be. Yeah,
that was oh my God. You should have, Johnny, come on, bro. You should have been here when we was actually talking about Dexter and Edward James Olmos.
Yeah,
we were actually talking about Edward James Olmos. You would have loved it. We were actually talking about Edward James Olmos. And but Junior was the Biden of the
That's funny.
That's the thing. They were using Junior as the useful idiot. They were using him to run shit.
Every person in charge is like that, people. Everybody.
Yeah, anyway, so that's what I'm saying. Tony wants to lay in the cut. He wants to lay in the cut and be the real boss. And they go, "Oh, Junior's the boss." So that was what they were trying to set up. And then, like I said, you got Johnny Sachs in New York, and Phil's his underboss at that point. But like I said, the New York families have given their blessings to Tony to take Phil out. So he can take Phil. They take him out. The FBI knows because they was like, that's what the meeting was about. They don't know, but they were like,
but they know.
Yeah, they were like, okay, so Tony just had that meeting with the guy, and then they take Phil out. That's interesting. So they know what that is. But they can't obviously prove, but at that point, Stevie Van Zant's character's in the hospital. He's had a stroke or something.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he was laying in the final episode of Sopranos. He doesn't have any lines. He's in the bed. They only show him in the hospital in a coma.
Was he actually sick or anything at that time? Like, was there a reason?
His character had gotten shot or had a stroke.
But I mean, like in real life, was he like?
No, he's
interesting.
Because he's you see him on camera, he's just like laying there with the tubes in his nose, but he doesn't have any lines in the final episode.
That's so weird.
It was so he's there. Like I said, because Tony actually went to the hospital to visit him. I guess they wanted to make sure he was on camera. Like I said, Christopher Moltisanti is dead at this point because he had died like 3 or 4 episodes earlier. Because it was like
he almost made it the whole way.
Tony killed him. Tony took him out, and then the next episode, Bobby died, and then so it just started setting things up. At that point, we go. Tony is meeting. It's kind of weird how they transition. Tony's meeting Carmela and the kids at this little restaurant, dive bar thing. Tony's already there.
I can't remember if this is like a once a week thing, but I assume this is like a once a week family dinner sort of thing or something. I'm trying to remember.
Well, there because she told he was Tony Anthony Jr. He was there with his girlfriend, and she had said she was going to cook, and then she decided she didn't want to cook because he said you said you were going to make whatever the Italian dish was, and she was like, no, let's go to whatever the hell and have dinner there, and he's like, okay, and so Tony was there, He plays with the jukebox. He's flipping around songs, and you see Journey, Don't Stop Believing. Boom. So this sets up the last sequence of the final episode of Sopranos.
I thought just the 4 of them were at the restaurant. The guy's girlfriend was there too?
No. It was just the
4 of them.
It was just the 4
main Sopranos. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So Tony picks Don't Stop Believing from Journey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. They're playing, you start hearing Just a Small Town Girl. Just hear that it's playing for the whole rest of the episode.
Yeah.
At that point, you see some guy walk in. There's a guy, because Tony's there. Carmela walks in, and hello, Inkwell. Tony, Carmela walks in. I think she's got Anthony with her. Meadow.
Yeah, Meadow was on her own, I think.
Yeah, she was on her own, and she's doing this bullshit.
Something going on.
She was trying to park the car, and she couldn't. That's
what the fuck was going on.
That was the whole thing. Right. She's sitting there parallel parking and screwing it up. She kept the first time she parked, like damn near ran on the curb or something.
Yeah.
She's driving like a $50,000 car, and she's
symbolic for something. Is that supposed to mean something?
She was an idiot. And,
is that all it meant?
Anyway,
so yeah, you're right. That happened for 5 to 10 minutes.
That was the whole thing. Yeah, because they cut away from her, and then they cut back to her, and she's still trying to park the car.
Yeah, and you're like, what the hell is happening?
She does finally come in though. She gets in. She gets in the restaurant. You see a guy walk in. There's a couple people walking in.
Right.
Now
in suits, right?
David Chase has talked about this afterwards. So once people explain this. Okay, so this is what was supposed to happen that the audience doesn't know. Some of the guys that walked in, that we see, some of the weird guys, were actually FBI guys, and I guess they were at the restaurant to arrest Tony Soprano.
Which watching it and not knowing any of this, I only knew about this when you told me about it. I just watched the episode, and that's what it was to me. I assumed that they were FBI guys. I assumed the FBI was closing in.
They were authority figures. They were there to arrest Tony at the restaurant. Yeah. Boom. Okay. Yeah. You saw another guy walk in, and he looked like he was a mob guy, right? That guy, they never gave his name, but that was Phil's son. He came to take it. That was the thing. But they don't say this on the episode.
But so did they not want to make the choice of Tony getting shot or Tony getting arrested?
They leave it ambiguous.
In my well,
yes,
what do you think?
We did do. Everybody comes in after Dexter. Yeah, we did Dexter. The Dexter conversation, like I said, we had fun with the Dexter conversation. So please go back and watch that. The Dexter conversation.
Don't get mad at me if you love Dexter, people.
Yeah. She didn't. I
don't
Dexter,
apologize.
Let me
what
get
do you
die.
think,
he said most likely the feds were stepping in to begin questioning and trying to pin Tony on everything.
That's
so
what
like I said,
I assumed he was going to be taken into custody.
So that's what I'm about to say. So at this point, they had Tony on the phone, confirmed meeting with the gangster, and then just a couple days later, they locate Phil and take him out, right? In public. So okay. So that's but like I said, they don't explain. You don't know who these guys are. They never explain this. But later, David Chase has talked about this. That some of the guys that walked in, you see them at the restaurant, they were the feds. They were there, I guess, to take Tony in. And then there's another guy that walked in that looked like a mob guy, and that was apparently Phil's son come to shoot Tony and take him out. Okay, so and then the screen goes black,
right?
And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, it's weird.
And matter of fact, they actually said that the HBO people said that so many people were confused when the screen went black. They thought that the episode cut out,
right? Or your cable.
And
cut
then
out
the credits started rolling. Everybody was like, "What the fuck?" It's like it's like, yo, you're hearing the music. Don't stop believing. And then the screen goes black.
Well, they've never done anything like that before. It was also so different than any way they. Though I will say this: every single finale episode of every season of The Sopranos is not a climax. It's the downturn of the season. The last episode is never the climax or the best episode of the season. It's usually the
Yeah, it just ties
episode
up
or
loose
2
ends, though.
episodes before, like all the shit went down. And then the last episode of the season is always tied things up. Sometimes we're kind of boring. So it kind of
Someone
didn't
else you
surprise
don't
me that
see-
nothing happens.
Well, yeah, someone else you don't see on the series finale, Dr. Melfi. She's
Right.
not there, but
Right.
Tony had stopped seeing her at that point, and they had brought in another psychiatrist.
Mhm.
But they had some weird.
There was all sorts of drama. I can't remember all that drama.
And I was like, I think she had gotten sick at that point or something. She wanted to kind of fall back.
Oh.
But yeah, she would. But that was kind of weird. Like I said, you don't see Christopher because Tony had killed Christopher. You don't see Bobby because Bobby got killed the episode after.
Right. It's the couple episodes before the finales when all the shit goes down.
Steven Van Sant's character is in a coma. He has no lines, so you only see him laying in the hospital bed. You see Paulie.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a couple of scenes.
Paulie survives.
Yeah, Paulie survives, but he doesn't. But Tony had offered him a promotion. And he was like, "No, man, I don't want that." And he was like, "I'm getting old, and I had prostate cancer."
Work. Yeah.
He was like, he didn't want it.
I don't need that spotlight on me right now.
And Tony actually was surprised. He was like, "You don't want the position?" And
I agree with this statement. I kind of like that. Like, in my mind, the feds got him. Like, that's my opinion. Maybe other people thought he got shot.
Not how this would have played out, because here's the reality: you got federal agents in this bar. You have to assume they're officers, so they've got their weapons on them, right?
But there's going to be a shootout, is what you're saying.
So when Phil's son pulls that thing out, they're going to have to pull that things out.
It's going to go down.
Not to mention, Tony probably is strapped too, even though he had that weapons charge on him.
I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Jr. was strapped as well.
Nah, that would shock me, because he definitely...
Because he's such a pussy. Because he's such a little baby. What about Meadow? I could see Meadow having maybe a little gun.
No.
I know they're such spoiled brats. Wishful thinking.
She had pepper
What
spray.
about this, though? In the shootout, who would have died?
That would have been picked up season 7. That would have been... You could have done season 7 with that.
Well, I'm just speculating. I'm asking your opinion. Like, let's say the shootout occurs, right? Because that seems like the most logical thing that would happen, right?
Yeah, it would have definitely been a shootout.
Who's getting caught in the crossfires? Who's dying? Yeah. Does Tony survive? Does Carmela die?
That's what I'm saying.
Do the kids
Carmela
die?
Get shot in the... Because, like I said, he's there to shoot Tony. The son's there to get revenge for his father getting murdered.
It's a pretty packed, crowded restaurant, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there was
there's people in it.
There was at least 20 people in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
a place, but it was like
there's gonna be casualties.
Yeah, and so he's there to shoot Tony. He did, but it was great. Yeah, Paulie was like, "All right," and he was like, "Yeah," and it was kind of like
he probably won't last long. He'll probably fuck it up somehow, knowing Paulie.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, yeah, okay. So let me see. Fez would have probably dragged him out, while Phil's son would have brushed off, nearly killing. But he would have pulled his gun out. This is what I'm saying. They didn't know. They clearly didn't know Phil's son was there.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think Tony would have gotten shot by Phil's son, but Phil's son would have got somebody. There would have been collateral damage.
He's right there. Matter of fact, he walked by. Remember,
there at the end,
he walked in. He could have just rolled up to Tony when Tony was at the jukebox. When Tony was at the jukebox, he could have took him out right then. But then he went in the bathroom. Bathroom.
Like old school Godfather style was what it made me think of. Like,
he went in the bathroom.
Hidden in the bathroom.
And so I'm sitting there like, so he could have took him out right there, but then the feds was in there. So I was like, he could have got a clear shot on Tony and just walked up and pulled that thing on him. Bam! And just walked back, and then obviously the feds would have and they would have did their thing. It would have been a whole thing. But like I said, hearing them describe this, that was supposed to be the feds. That was supposed the feds were closing in on Tony, and
that's what I assumed anyway. Like, that seemed obvious to me that they were the feds for sure.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, it would have been interesting if they'd actually showed it, or just even if you.
That makes sense too.
Like, even if he pulled out and there had been like a big shootout, and then you just go to the credit and everybody be like, "Oh shit, what the hell?" And then you're not ever going to get another episode of The Sopranos again. That would have been crazy.
No, not like I was just saying before, there wasn't one single finale episode that had a set piece like that, like a big climactic moment. Those always happened in like the episode before. The last episodes never had a moment like that. So it kind of didn't surprise me that it ended on that. It cut off, but I'm not surprised.
Well, you remember that episode where Tony killed his cousin? His cousin that had he had killed his cousin. That happened. That was such a throwaway scene. Everything had kind of, the season was over.
Yeah.
He left town. He's at this little cabin. He's thinking he's got his girl. He's being careful because he knows certain. He's like, he's got his groceries. He's getting in there. And then all of a sudden, Tony just rolls out, boom, and it was like, boom, and he's like, all right, and he's just gone at that point.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, yeah.
That was the way he killed his cousin was so strange. He was just like, bam, and he just walked off, and that was the end of it.
But it made sense.
And, let me see. It wasn't something about the number 3 and Christopher's dream when he was in the coma and stuff like that.
See, that's the season I'd have to rewatch because there was a lot of imagery during that coma season. There's a lot of weird shit going on during the coma.
Yeah, like I said, it was
a lot of shit going on.
I want to go back and watch the whole thing again because, like I said, it's good, interesting stuff to watch.
And it had a lot of good moments. Like, you were making me remember Janice. Like, she's hilarious.
But she's
an evil bitch though too.
That's what the producers were putting out there. That apparently, what we don't know in the scene, because you see these people walk in and they don't explain who these people are. So one of them was Phil's son, and the other group was supposed to be like the feds. And
Did they explain what was supposed to go down, or they just said
it's supposed to be ambiguous? That's the way David Chase wanted it. It's supposed to be.
It makes sense.
But you don't know that that's Phil's son. So you don't get that impact.
That's tough.
So like if you knew that was Phil's son right after the rip, if you knew it's like, oh shit, that's Phil's son, you have to wait till the show goes off the air and then a couple weeks later they go, oh, that was Phil's son. We just didn't explain. Me personally, I didn't need to know that was Phil's son because we don't know who he is.
What I'm saying is those like to me, the two guys in the suits were obviously like the feds. Like that was that whole season. Like they're chasing them.
You never see them. You see the other Fed guy that's Tony's guy that he snitched.
I just think it's obvious that like those guys are cop guys and that the guy that walks in is a gangster guy. I don't need to know exactly who he is.
He definitely kind of gave a gangster vibe off.
Yeah, and he goes to the bathroom, Godfather style, to, in my mind, get the gun, the classic scene. And
but how do you know Tony was? Because remember, they weren't supposed to be there that night.
Well, I don't. Those are details like
that's what I'm saying.
Get into
because
I just don't
Carmela
know.
did not tell Tony Jr. until
maybe
after. They were supposed to eat at home.
What was the look on Phil Jr.'s face or the son's face when he walked in? Was he surprised? I can't remember. Like maybe he didn't know Tony was going to be there, or did he go in like knowing Tony was going to be there?
Let me see. Michael Roth. Fraga's theory on the series finale is that they were point of view cycling, and the next person in the cycle was dead when they cut to black.
I mean, just like cut, like scene.
Because it was such an awkward cut. It was such an awkward cut. The music stopped. The screen just went black. It was black for like 15, 20 seconds, and then the credits started rolling. And that's what happened. You never heard no gunshots. Nobody got arrested.
Right. You don't hear any sound effects at all. And
it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't until a couple weeks later where everybody kept going, what the hell happened? And they go, okay. So in that last scene, you saw that one group of guys. Well, those guys were feds. They were coming to talk to Tony. And then the other guy that walked in the bathroom, that was Phil's son.
I don't like them explaining it personally. I mean, if you're going to do an ambiguous ending like that.
They didn't
but they had to know that people were going to be like, what the fuck? I mean, they had to know that when they cut or edited the episode together. They had to know that. So then to come out just a week later and be like, oh, this is what we meant. It's like, well, why don't you just make something then that explains it if you were going to explain it anyway?
So
it seems kind of lame.
I mean, but there was so many people that were like, what the hell was that? Because it's very confusing.
Yeah.
Like I said, having them say, oh, that guy that went in the bathroom was Phil's son. And he was going to settle up with Tony. And then the other group of guys was the feds. So you go, wait a minute. So the feds are there. If you know that at the time, you go, oh shit, the feds are there. And you see, oh shit. And then it cuts to black. You go, oh, what was that? And then you're confused because you don't know that the danger is imminent.
See, I'm not with you on that. Like to me, the danger felt imminent. Like to me, It did
You
feel
felt
that way.
Tony was in danger while he was sitting there with the jukebox and everything?
Yeah.
Even though the dude was in the bathroom?
There was a scene, there was shit going on. Like, it felt like something was going to go down.
I mean, he
the
had
whole
talked,
bathroom,
like he had talked to
the
his
guys in
lawyer,
the
and
suits, the
lawyer's
other
telling him he's
guy.
about to get arrested.
It felt like there was, I felt the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I was surprised when it just stopped. But yeah, I've totally felt the vibe.
It was weird. So, but again, that's how the Sopranos ended. And like I said, so that's Dexter and Sopranos. And then obviously we did the other part. I'll have to link that video at the end of this.
Now,
so you hear us talk about Lost and Game of Thrones.
Yes, going back to Lost for a second and Game of Thrones. Like, I think I said it on our Lost episode. I would not recommend Lost to anybody because it's a lot of TV to get through for.
And then you feel like you just wasted all your time.
Exactly. Like I tell people, I say, watch the pilot. It's that and the Twin Peaks pilot.
I thought that first few episodes,
first season is good.
You get hooked into it. Maybe going into the second.
But I can't recommend it.
Yeah, like when they start doing the Dharma Initiative stuff and start really trying to explain the mythos of the island, all that kind of stuff, it got really confusing. And
but I don't think the ending of The Sopranos ruined The Sopranos for me. I could still
I still think
I still enjoyed the show as a whole.
Yeah, but that last scene was a little strange for me. It's just like, ugh. And even watching it back like a decade later, that shit was jarring, and I knew what was going to happen. And watching Dexter back pissed me off again watching it. So I was watched.
It's interesting the 4 different shows we talked about because like Lost, I wouldn't recommend. It was a great ride.
I'd recommend parts of it.
Game of Thrones. I think you're still a Game of Thrones fan.
Game of Thrones,
but I wouldn't recommend
all the seasons 1 through 4. Thumbs up. Some of season 5, but season 5 has some bullshit in it that pissed me off. There are like 2 or 3 2 episodes in season 6, especially the Battle of the Bastards episode.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely thought was incredible. And then season 7 with the warp speed they did warp speed.
Oh yeah, well we talked about it in
warp speed and the dragons on 7 and 8. I thought it was just too much, and they needed another 3 or 4 episodes to let that shit breathe a little bit.
So my question to you is, do any of these finales, like for me, the finale of Lost kind of sucked, but do any of the finales
it didn't
make you not want to? Do any of the finales ruin the show for you?
Lost had already been ruined. Okay, you're
right. Lost was kind of already already crumbled by that point.
I think season 3 it jumped the shark when they got off the island, and then what was it, John? What was it, Matthew Fox's character? What was his name? Was it John?
Jack.
Okay, Jack was like, we gotta go back. And I was like, what the fuck? But I mean, when they got off the island, I thought they did some. I was like, man, this show had started sucking, and it got really interesting. When they got off the island, and you started seeing some of that stuff. It got interesting again.
But do you think the finale ruins the show?
I thought the show ruined the show with Lost.
The show ruined the show. Now, what about Lost had way too many characters, or episodes. Now, what about
old people sex? Matter of fact, I remember they wanted to stay on the island and live out their days since everybody else went on. They were like,
I have never heard. What is it called? Island? I've never heard of it.
Where
on Netflix? Is that what he said? That last comment you just
watch Island on Netflix, and you say Lost. Really? Oh God!
From that comment, Michael, I will definitely not watch it.
Okay, yes,
I won't be wasting my time on that.
Okay.
Let's see. What about Dexter? Did Dexter's finale ruin the show for you at all?
I still love the show, but I thought season 8. I didn't like the serial. Season 8 had the weakest of the serial killers. Because, like I said, the brain surgeon, they were trying to make him like Dexter. I thought and there's no disrespect to that actor, but he was, like I said, you go from having John Lithgow to Jimmy Smits to Edward James Olmos and Colin Hanks.
Right.
And then you have some jabroni that I don't give a damn about. And he's the last guy.
Because I don't always need a star. They just need to be good.
You got guys that have been nominated for multiple Emmys. John Lithgow's won multiple Emmys.
That doesn't mean they're the only good actors in the world.
I'm just saying.
You are a snob. You're a snob.
You can't go from having award-winning after award-winning actor after award-winning actor to, okay, here's some guy from Iceland that no one gives a shit about.
How is anybody else going to win an award if they can't can't act?
But I'm just saying here that Dexter's been off the air.
Okay, we talked about Dexter.
No, you asked.
No. What I mean is.
Okay, well, I was like, Lumen. We talked about Lumen.
We talked about all of this stuff. I'm just such a Dexter hater. That's all, Antonio.
Yeah, right.
That's really all it is.
You get all these award-winning actors. You get, like I said, you get brilliant. I mean, John Lithgow's been nominated for Oscars, so you get a brilliant actor in John Lithgow as the Trinity. You get Jimmy Smits as that politician. I can't remember his name, but Jimmy Smits' character was great. And then you get Edward James Olmos and Colin Hanks. And so at that point, you get them. I'm trying to remember which order that was. Was it Jimmy Smits first and then Colin Hanks? Because like I said, I think, it had to be Colin Hanks and then Jimmy Smits because Deborah spent the next season 7, feeling guilty because she shot old girl. So it had to be Trinity and then Jimmy Smits and then Edward James Olmos and Colin Hanks. And then we get this Darren Islade, whoever he's done a lot of American television that's all big character parts that no one gives a damn. Although the guy that played his brother in the first season, no one knows who that guy is.
Don't you disparage character actors? How dare you?
I'm just saying he's not someone that
you're a star whore, Antonio. Yeah, you're a star whore.
I want to see. It's like when they have a guest star on Star Trek or something,
Stop it, good I know. It's my own fault.
So, like I said, that I just thought the final master serial killer for Dexter, I thought was lame. I thought he was kind of lame. So at that point, and now I'm like, how's he? Because he didn't all of a sudden get cured of his dark passenger. Because like with Lumen, she lost her dark passenger, and
I think it's more realistic though that he doesn't lose his dark passenger. He's a goddamn fucking killer.
He's gonna still have the compulsion to kill people then. So that got weird for me. And then, exactly, guys,
you are a rewatcher of shows, so this might be a dumb question for you, but does it deter you from would you watch Dexter again from beginning to end?
Absolutely, because the other stuff, I watched some of the other episodes after I watched the final, and I was like, those were still good for me. And
is there anything that you wouldn't watch again, Antonio?
Lost.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Because and then to have the producers admit that they just didn't have a beginning, middle, and end, and they just were kind of making it up.
There's nothing to make you want to go back.
Yeah.
Unless you like certain actors or something.
Yeah. So that. I still love. I've watched Game of Thrones multiple times, even the shitty last 2 seasons.
I cannot. That does not make sense to me.
Because I'm a completist.
That's torturous. That is torturous. To watch it multiple times.
Yeah, I've watched season 7 and 8.
You're torturing yourself.
I just watched season 7 and 8 a couple months ago. Actually, I watched all of the last 13 episodes. Because they really blow through. I will say
crazy.
They're longer episodes in that season just because it's. It's
terrible. I cannot imagine sitting there watching season 8 again of Game of Thrones. I couldn't do it. Yeah.
Godai says I wouldn't watch Lost, Dexter, and maybe Breaking Bad. Although Breaking Bad for a different reason. I love Breaking Bad is incredible. We might need to break down Breaking Bad as well. I would really love to.
Well, I'd have to watch it first.
Oh damn! Okay.
I'm one of those weirdos that's never seen it.
Like I would have you stream almost every day because I was like, I need a Breaking Bad day. I need a Wire Wednesday. I did, so I was like,
there's not enough time in the day, man.
I was saying so.
All this shit.
So so let me see. Definitely wouldn't watch Lost. I think Dexter's good. They didn't stick the landing. Sopranos is a masterpiece. That ending was weird for me.
Yeah, but it doesn't ruin the show. To me, it doesn't ruin the show.
Game of Thrones is very strong until those last 2 seasons.
Disagree, but that's the other episode.
And then that is season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones with the light speed and
those are rough.
stuff. And yeah, and it got really strange. And not to mention, like I said, I know you made fun of me that I wanted Arya to get married. And
yes, no, I did. Yeah, I did not want her and Gendry to get together.
Yeah, so that's
it's been a while since I watched Sopranos.
Yeah, and like I said, sitting here last night, like I was packing and I just had the shit on, and I was like, man, the shit is still good. Go back now. I'm back on season 1, going through it.
It's a good show. Not everybody likes gangster stuff or like mobster stories, which I understand.
Yeah.
Other than that, Sopranos is a great show.
That is, but they admitted. That's what I'm saying. They admitted that they just kind of started running out of ideas. Money. They didn't know what they were doing, and then it became a shit show at that point.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
that's
it.
TV. So we went through 4 shows. We went through Lost. We went through Game of Thrones, which I'll link that at the end. So like if everybody's bored and want to watch like 5 hours of us talking about all 4 of these shows, which I think is a great 5 hours, because we ran 2.5 hours on both shows. So
yeah, it's almost 1. Yeah,
but like I said, I thought both shows were good. I thought we both contributed, and the chat was very active, so that helped. So yeah, I'll link part 1. Obviously, you can check out the playlist and all that kind of stuff. The JillStream playlist, it'll have it on there, and I've got them marked. So yeah. Thumbs up for Game of Thrones, even though I didn't like the last 2 seasons. Thumbs down on Lost, even though I thought the first season was very strong. But they in season 5, I think, when they had gotten off the island, that I thought they
had some good moments.
Yeah. Like I thought because it had been bad, and then they start turning it around.
Yeah, and then let's not forget the writer's strike really.
Writer's strike and all that. So Dexter, I thought was good, but they had, when you go back and you watch it now, they were really formulaic. He kills somebody, master serial killer at the end. Kill somebody, master serial killer. So every season had a master serial killer. So that's what it's like. Okay. So at that point, and then like I said, the master serial killer, the brain surgeon for season 8 was a weak actor. I don't think they had enough, but it'd been nice if because I can see why they picked that guy, that Darren Asaloff or whatever. I can see why they picked him. He was young. He's a good looking guy. He had the ability to look real like a normal guy. They were trying to have him as like an uber Dexter type character where he's super smart. His mother's a doctor, so he had some of her medical knowledge and stuff like that. So he's a smart guy. He can pretend to be normal, just like Dexter and all that. So they were
These 2 characters can clash.
They were trying to say that Dexter has met his ultimate match. He is just like Dexter, except he's unlike Dexter. He's killing innocent people. Dexter's harming. He's killing people that are.
Yes, let's not forget about Dexter's code.
Yeah, so that messed up. But yeah, I just don't think.
And they always do.
Yeah, so that whole thing, but let me see. So then, and then The Sopranos, again, masterpiece, but the ending got a little weird for me. Jill, is there anything you would like to say? Because really, thank you guys for hanging out. Obviously, our good friends over there at Planet EJOBN, you guys that have watched over there, obviously check me out, youtube.com/AcardPress. Is there anything you would like to say before I close this bad boy out?
No, get ready for episode 2, Wire Wednesday.
Yes.
Season 1, episode 2, The Wire.
Yes. And, check it out, Brand.
And of course, Brand.
Yeah, check it out at acardpress.com. As you can see, as the little ticker is on the bottom there.
You always got to check out Brand.
Yeah, please. We would love to have you. And of course, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right here on YouTube, all of the Card Press, cardpress.com. Takes you to Brand Way to Gun. Check me out on Amazon and check me out on Teespring and get some of that fire hot merch. The link, of course, is in the description for all of that. For Jill B. Peel, I am Antonio Bryce. We will be back for Wire Wednesday.
Yes.
Episode 2 of The Wire. I'm looking forward to that. Please join us again. Deuces.